Stand up, New York Giant fans. Baddog, we've got a Sunday off this week. We're not going to be tortured by the New York Giants. What's going on, man?
Yeah, we won't be tortured for another, 8 months now. So we're good to go. We don't got to worry about that till early fall this year. So, then fall is what the Giants did the entire season. I wish we had another Sunday of not torture, but like a playoff game. That'd be. I wonder what the hell that feels like. I forgot what the hell it's like to even have it. Well, no, we had a chance last year, but to play in a playoff game.
It'd be nice.
Yeah, it'd be great.
Unfortunately, we have to watch the Cowboys and Eagles play in a playoff game.
Well, we got somebody to root against anyway.
There you go.
Got that going for us. So go Niners and go Bucks.
Let's go. Let's say hello to a couple people in the chat. Tommy B, David Giles, Afghanistan. Landon in the chat. Amazing guy in the chat. Hirsch Friel in the chat. Sammy Conway in the chat. Sabrina's in the chat. What's going on? MY Giants 46, man. Thank you so much, man. I appreciate it. But he says $100 donate coming when you. Nah, man, you don't got to do that, man. I appreciate it, buddy. I think I'm almost at 42K. But yeah, no, I appreciate it, man. Thank you to everybody for being here. I appreciate it. What's going on, Julian Love? What's going on there, Garrett? What's going on there, Joe Shane? Joe Shane, there you go. There's one of the candidates.
There you go.
Bringing in for the GM. He's already in our chat. Maybe we'll get some of the GM candidates that'll pop in tonight. But maybe we're going to start off with, I don't know how surprised you were. I think we both knew that it was possible and even somewhat probable that they may fire Joe Judge, especially after the press conference on the 3rd and 8th decision. I was surprised how quick they did it. They did it before they brought any GMs in. It came on a Tuesday. It threw me through a loop. What about you?
Yeah, I wouldn't say I was surprised how quick they did it. I was surprised after Monday that they did it. Like, I thought for sure if they were going to fire him, and I waited all day Monday, and I saw nothing to indicate that he was gone. So I made that video saying, man, I don't know if I can do another year with this, because I just felt like we're pretty much going to have a similar roster. And I'm thinking, man, I just didn't think Joe. I felt like Joe Judge was in over his head. I felt like he was starting to crack. I just never saw any improvement. Like, I didn't see any players get better. And I started thinking to myself, if we keep this guy and you're interviewing GMs and they have to decide whether, like, you're adding that pressure to a guy that's just coming into this organization, you're making him decide if he wants to keep Joe Judge or fire him. Like, I felt like that would put guys in an awkward situation and we wouldn't get the best candidates. So when they fired him Tuesday, obviously I was very excited. I rarely go live when there's news about the Giants, but I felt like that had to be done, especially since so many people know how I felt about Joe Judge. And, I mean, people are like, I've said in my video, I'm not doing I was going to do like an end of the season press conference. I'm like, I'm not going to trample on the man's grave. It is what it is. I don't hold grudges, man. I move on from shit pretty quick. But I think it was the best move for the Giants. I definitely do. I felt like they had to start fresh. I felt like they had to start with a GM and let that GM pick his coaching staff. And, I feel like they did it right. I think, like, watching Mara's press conference, I love that he took accountability. He said this is as low as it's ever been. He said he said what we did. Every time we felt like it was the lowest point, it got lower.
Right.
And he said he felt like he had to start it over. He had to push the reset button. And hopefully when they do it this time, they build it correctly. Hopefully they get the right candidates. They're looking for a lot of guys outside of our organization for the first time since 1979. Hopefully it pays off.
Yeah, I'm with you. And I'll start with the Mara thing. I saw a lot of people getting on Mara because they said it wasn't live because Chris Mara was in the general manager interviews. Listen, we've been all over Mara, you and me, and a lot of Giants fans, not just this year, the last 3 or 4 years. I'm going to tip my cap to Mara. He did exactly what we wanted him to do. It's not an easy decision. This is now the 3rd coach he had to fire after 2 years, and usually I'm not for that, the quick trigger finger. But in this situation, I thought he had to do it. I think it was a tough decision, and he went through with it. I don't understand the backlash that he's getting. I think he did exactly what the fans wanted him to do. I'll tip my cap. And I thought that he showed a lot of humility. I thought that he took a lot of the blame for what's gone on. What more can you ask as a fan? And now he's bringing in outside general manager candidates from like 5 or 6 different organizations, 9 different candidates. The last time it was a joke. It was a former Giant, 2 current Giants, and a guy from ESPN.
And he even said that. He said that they were hasty. They didn't bring in enough candidates, and they want to go through the process, and they want to do it different this time. And I'm looking at the candidates, and they're all coming from successful organizations.
Yep.
So I think it's a good thing. I think it's a step in the right direction. And like I said, hopefully this time they get the right people in there, and we can start moving forward. And we don't have to go through this again in 2024. You know what I mean? Or 2023 or whatever. Hopefully we don't have to do another cycle of 2 years. But my whole thing was, if your lone reasoning for keeping a guy here is because you don't want to fire someone every 2 years, that's just not a good reason.
Not a good enough reason.
It's a bad reason to keep a guy just because you've done it the last 2 times. If it's not working, it's not working. Why prolong what's probably inevitable anyway? So again, this year it's going to be very different for me going into the season. I'm going to have very low expectations, maybe no expectations. I'm just going to see what they do. I'm not going to throw a fit at anything they do in the draft. I have no clue what's coming. And maybe they do draft the quarterback. Maybe they don't want Daniel Jones. There's no attachment to Daniel Jones with this regime. So it is very possible they say, nope, we don't want him. We like a quarterback in this. We like Corral. We like Willis. We like Kenny Pickett, and we're going to go in that direction. I'm not going to be happy about it, but I'm going to have to deal with it.
Yeah, I'm the same way. I think you have to go in with an open mind. We both have our preference. We don't want to go quarterback this year. We want to build up the offensive line. But at the end of the day, as fans, we're fans just like everybody else in here. We got to realize that it's a new regime. And if they feel like there's a guy that they want to build around, we got to give them that opportunity to sink or swim. We'll talk more about that throughout the stream. Let me catch up with a couple of these. David says, what's the likelihood Brian Flores is our new head coach? I'm going to say slim. I don't think he'll be the coach. When you look at the guys we brought in terms of the general manager candidates, I think the favorites right now are probably Joe Shane and probably the guy from the 49ers. I think it's Davis. Peters, rather. Adam Peters. I think him and Joe Shane are probably the 2 favorites. And if they were to get the job, more than likely, they're going to bring in guys that they're familiar with.
Brian Dabble was the guy. I'm thinking I'm thinking that could be likely. I'm thinking Joe Shane might get this. Buffalo's really turned it around pretty quickly, and that wouldn't surprise me if they. But again, we'll see. But I'm agreeing with you. I think that he's probably the favorite.
Yeah, and I don't think Flores. I don't think we'll hire Flores. You want to know where I think Flores is a high probability of going? I think the Houston Texans are high probability because there was a rumor that came out that Watson wanted to play for Flores. Maybe Houston fired Coley after just 1 year because they're trying to please their quarterback. Is that possible with Watson? I could see something like that happening. I don't think it'll be with the New York Giants. And I like Flores. I will say, though, I want more of an offensive mind in terms of the head coach. If I had a preference, I want a more offensively inclined head coach.
Yeah.
T says, rumor has it that Tisch was pressing Mara to fire both Shermer and Gettleman in 2020. If that is true, that was a missed opportunity. I think Tisch is steering now. Yeah, that would have been 2019. Actually, well, I guess going into the 2020 season, after the 2019 season with Shermer and Gettleman. And yet, listen, if they were going to fire Shermer, which I wanted him to stay for 1 more year, but if they were going to fire Shermer, they should have also fired Gettleman. That would have been what you should have done. If you're going to fire the coach, there was no reason to keep Gettleman at that point. Wipe it clean and start over. And then I might have felt differently about Joe Judge. Had they brought in a GM with Joe Judge, I might have said, let's give it 1 more year. But the fact that the GM and the head coach were on 2 different timelines, it didn't make a whole lot of sense. And word also came out that Tisch was the driving force behind firing Joe Judge. At least that was what was reported, that he kind of had to, I guess, convince Mara to do it. But who knows? I mean, it's all hearsay, but I don't care. He's gone. And that's all that I care about.
Yeah.
A fresh start.
And Mara's loyal to a fault, so it wouldn't surprise me if Tisch had a lot to do with that, and it had to convince Mara. Listen, we have to start over. You want a GM to come and pick his head coach, and let that GM pick the head coach. Let that head coach pick his staff. That's what they need to do.
That was the only option, in my opinion. And the other thing is, when you think about it, if you keep Judge, one, he's probably a lame duck coach going into next year because there's no way the fan base is going to accept Judge for a 4th year if you say win 7 games. And more than likely, we're not going to win more than 7 games next year. So then you're asking an offensive coordinator to come in and take this job, knowing that more than likely he's only going to keep the job for 1 year because Judge will lose his job, and then you're going to have a whole new coaching staff. So just start over now. Let the GM pick the head coach. Let that head coach build his coaching staff. And I am all for giving these guys 3 years now. Now you got a head coach, because just like I would have given Shermer 3 years, now you got a head coach and a GM on the same timeline. I'm going to give them a little bit of time here to build this team. That's my opinion. And hopefully this time around, they get it right.
Yeah, we need to get it right because it hasn't been right in a decade. So let's hope it happens. It's like I said, they did what they had to do. They pushed reset. Now it's time to build from the ground up. And again, to me, that's the foundation is always in the trenches. Our trenches suck both on the defensive and offensive line. We get pushed around up front on both, places. Really just need an offensive line, man. I am all about getting 2 offensive linemen in the first 2 picks. I really want this offensive line to be better because although I'm a defensive guy at heart, man, you look at the last 2 championships we had, the offensive line was great. We were able to run the ball. I mean, that's just what we did. I understand 2011 we didn't have a great running game, but that was Eli. Eli was able to do a lot in 2011, but 2007, 2008, those teams were fantastic because they were able to run the ball and they were able to protect Eli. Eli started to fall apart when the offensive line started to fall apart. It's hard for an immobile quarterback, getting into the twilight of his career to survive when he's getting rushed every time he drops back. So we haven't had a good offensive line in years. It's time to get one.
Yeah, it's long overdue. MY Giants 26 says, I want Donut Dable, but also want Peters for the GM. Well, if you got Peters is the guy from San Francisco. I mean, maybe they would still hire Dable, but I think that significantly decreases the probability. I think it's going to be a combo. I think if Dable's going to get this job, it means that Shane's going to be the GM. That's my guess. That doesn't mean that they won't bring him in, and if they like him, maybe they will hire him. But Peters, if you get Peters, you may very well go with McDaniel, who's the offensive coordinator for the 49ers. He's got ties there. I would have to think it increases the likelihood that McDaniel would be the head coach if you were to hire Peters. You have to think these guys more than likely are going to push for guys that they've worked with before. So we'll see. It's very hard to speculate right now on who the head coach is going to be for the simple reason we got to get the GM. Got to get the GM first. He's got to be the guy that makes the decision. I don't want Tisch. I don't want Mara making that decision. I want the GM to have full say and get to choose who that head coach is going to be. I'm sure a lot of these GMs already have an idea of who they want, but I'm sure it'll be an interview process. But I think if they hire Shane, you'll probably get Dable. I don't think you'll get Dable if they hire Peters.
Correct. I agree.
Emma, thank you very much. Hey, I think I saw you at the game, Entertainer, and who's the guy with the big nose? She says, LL, just kidding. I'm a huge Giants fan, by the way. Emma, thank you very much. Man, the kids about his nose, and I know you're kidding around. And as far as at the game, maybe you did. I went to one game this year against the Eagles.
Yeah.
Emma, but thank you very much. Frank says, Judge seized for 11 minutes on camera and got himself fired. Not a clown show, but a nut house for sure. Listen, I think Judge folded under the pressure. And we all know New York is and that's ultimately Bad Dog. That's what got him fired. I honestly don't think our pressure, the fans' pressure, was going to be enough. I think once it became a national story, ESPN, and everybody was going after Joe Judge, I think it embarrassed the organization, and I think it forced Tisch and Mara's hand. I don't think they were going to fire him. I really don't. I think it's that 11-minute rant is what ultimately got him fired.
I think the 11-minute rant definitely had a big part in what happened to him. That was, to me, that was showing signs of him cracking, and it's hard. I mean, listen, that's a tough job for anybody, especially a first-time head coach. And I think Joe Judge's biggest problem was his inability to be flexible. The man just wouldn't. I kind of related to what happened to McAdoo. McAdoo had a great first season. He came into that second season believing his own hype. Joe Judge, I mean, we were 6-10, but people were praising him. Michael Kay was calling him Gold Jacket Joe. I was very pleased with what he did. I felt like he took over a rough situation coming into a COVID season with no preseason, first-time head coach. They fought all the way to the end of the year. They were 5-3 in their last 8 games, thought we were going in the right direction. And then I don't know what happened to him this year. He just, like I said, I felt like he was believing his own hype. I feel like he he never felt like he was wrong. We've seen this. He was just throwing people under the bus. It ain't my fault. It's this guy's fault. It's that guy's fault. It's Pat Shermer's fault. It's Ron Rivera's fault. We ain't this. We ain't that. Well, you ain't a good team. And I think that had a lot to do with it. And I'm telling you, man, that 39 quarterback sneak, that to me, that had a lot to do with it. Because to me, that was giving up. That's a give up. You waved the white flag. You gave up. He said, well, our players don't quit. Well, he quit on the players. He quit on the team. That is waving the white flag. I give up. I have nothing. Run a quarterback sneak. Those last couple of weeks and getting beat the way they did, I think that had a lot to do with it. And yes, I love how people wouldn't give me credit for Clown Show, but they all gave me credit for getting Joe Judge fired. They all give me credit for that.
I think it was a combination of everything: the fan pressure, the media pressure, and I think in the end he did what he had to do. I don't think there was a choice. And hopefully, I'm glad that Mara finally woke up and did the right thing. So hopefully they hire the right guys and we get this team going in the right direction. Easy Lopez says, hired a plumber today. It was Joe Judge right there.
Let me say this. I love when the snowflakes came on my page and said, oh, don't celebrate a guy losing his job. First and foremost, Joe Judge is getting his whole contract. Okay. He's getting $25 million. So he's getting $15 million for the next 3 years from the Giants. Anyway, like I said, I would love to have his problems. And number two, from what I understand, he already has another job. He's an assistant coach with the University of Houston. It wasn't going to take long for Joe Judge to get another job.
That came out? I didn't even know.
I heard that someplace. I don't know how true that is, but I heard that he had another job.
He'll get it.
Also heard that he got quite a few pizzas and beer, so good for him. Good for him. I think he was drinking a little beer before the game.
I think Judge is a good guy. I think Judge was put in a tough situation, but at the end of the day, he didn't do enough to justify bringing him back.
He didn't make this team any better. We saw no progression from anybody. It was difficult to watch the last 2 months of this season. It really was. I don't know why they never tried anything different. I don't know why he was so conservative. You had nothing to lose. Go for it. That's what I mean. He was inflexible. Every week it was the same thing. It never worked. You're getting beat worse and worse and worse, and he didn't want to try anything new. Yeah. So to me, that was just like, this guy doesn't budge. Even Tom Coughlin budged after making the playoffs 2 years in a row. He decided to be a little bit nice to his players. They won a Super Bowl. No. See, it was a weird year with Joe Judge. He fell apart.
For me, that I took away is that he didn't show enough confidence in his players. And it wasn't just the QB sneak. It was all year. And I understand the roster's not very good, but at the end of the day, there were several instances this year where you could point to the guy's got to be more aggressive. His timeout usage, to me, the biggest reason is the GM. That's why I wanted him fired more so than anything else. But he didn't do enough to help his cause. Yeah. Zach says, Mara earned my respect, felt proud to be a Giant again. Yeah, I think most Giant fans are excited for the change and hopefully what's to come. And it's going to be a fun offseason to see the direction of this team. Thank you very much. Yuri says, I like Flores. According to a report, Flores was throwing F-bombs at Tua during halftime versus the Titans. I did hear about that, but
Flores didn't want Tua. That's why.
Yeah, he wanted Watson. Or he wanted
Herbert.
Let's put it that way.
He did not want Tua. He didn't like Tua. That's the reason he got fired.
Yeah. It is what it is. But yeah, no, I heard about that. But here's what I'm going to say, man. I don't see them. I really don't think we're going to hire Flores. I know a lot of people want Flores. I like Flores. I really don't think we're going to hire Flores. I don't think you're going to go from Judge to Flores. They're both Belichick guys. He's a hard ass, kind of like Judge. I'd be very surprised. I don't think we're going to hire Flores. I'd be very surprised. Exotic says, here's my thank you for streaming the Giants games all season. Always was there to listen to you, and Baddog are the best. Appreciate that, Exotic.
Thank you, sir.
Here, buddy. Somebody said not Tomlin. I don't know what that's in reference to.
This was a rough season, Exotic. That's for sure. The roughest one I've dealt with since 1984 when I started watching the Giants.
This is the roughest season I've had since I've been on YouTube. I'll tell you that right now.
Not YouTube. I'm talking about in my life. This one almost broke me this year, man.
It was brutal.
It was tough.
2017 and this one, both of them really brutal recently. Davey says, Judge had to go. If you backtrack, Chris, I still thought he was gone Tuesday morning. They probably were talking to GMs and were told Joe Judge had to go. Yeah, that's probably what happened, Davey. They probably got word from the GMs that they were bringing in that they were not going to want to work with Joe Judge. So they said, okay, it's time to move on. Judge even went as far to say, at least reportedly, obviously we don't know that this came out of his mouth, but reportedly that he wanted to have full say in terms of the GM that they hired. And when I heard that, Baddog, I was like, this guy be lucky to keep his job. He's not one to be throwing around demands right now. But, my guess would be that's what happened. On Tuesday, they probably, like you said, talked to the coaches, and they said, no, we don't want Judge. And Mara did the right thing.
Yeah, so I mean, Joe Judge, man, I believed his own hype. It's the worst thing anybody can do is believe their own hype. You believe your own hype, you're going to that's what happens. It happened to McAdoo. It happens to teams. They start believing their own hype, and you're done. That's what happened to him. I really feel like he heard all the praises and the accolades from last year. The guy came out and said, "Oh, we don't do that here with what they did with the Eagles," and he did. He did do that in the last game. He just didn't even try. So,
LeMaitre says, "I live for these streams." Well, thank you so much for being here, buddy. We appreciate it.
Appreciate it.
Dustin says, "I'm hoping for Dable, but I might not be old enough." Do you guys remember the last time a GM brought his head coach in from his old organization? I mean,
no. I'd have because of course he was here. They brought in Coughlin. Coughlin was here, and Reese got here. I don't know if Gettleman brought Shermer in. That's the only thing it's the only time that, and I remember.
I think he's asking a guy that brought in a guy that he had ties to at his previous organization.
That's what I mean.
He didn't have ties to Shermer.
I don't think, and Coughlin was here, of course, or I'm sorry, Reese's entire run until McAdoo, and McAdoo wasn't part of that because McAdoo was just the offensive coordinator, just got promoted. I don't know if
I guess Coughlin.
Coughlin was part of the Giants. He was here in 1990, but that wasn't the same GM. Of course, he wasn't here in 1990. Yeah. So I don't really know.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, we haven't had that many GMs, so it's
No, we haven't
in my lifetime. So I mean, this is now
even in my lifetime they haven't.
Yeah, we haven't had that many. It's just so recently we've had quick turnover, but we haven't had that many GMs. John, man, thank you very much. Stand up and
Stella.
Fellas, y'all the best guys on YouTube. Break out the Allen jersey and Johnny Walker and see if the Eagles could knock out the champs. I'm going to tell you what, Baddog, I don't know if you've looked at the lines for this week's games. I think that's the easiest bet of the week. The Bucs are only favored by 8.5 against the Eagles. I think they're going to blow them out. I think they're going to absolutely destroy the Eagles. I got them by about 14 points.
Oh, they do.
I think they're going to blow them out.
I hope they beat them by 34 points.
I love the Bucs in that game, and maybe I'll be wrong. I'll be betting it. I'll be betting the Bucs. Mike, man, thank you very much, man. With Judge's bad offseason, now excited. Oh, you're saying if we would have kept Judge, it would have been a bad offseason. Now excited. Yeah, well, I think Giants fans are just excited for change and hope. And the best thing for me as a content creator, there's still going to be fans that are going to hold this team to the fire if they don't make the playoffs or win 7 or 8 games, but for me, I think fans will go in with a level head and they'll say, all right, this is a new beginning. We'll take our time. And like you said, you go into next year, the wins and losses don't even matter that much. It's more so about building the team, getting rid of the dead weight, and start building this team up the right way. And then going into the next year, that's when you hope they start to at least make a little bit of a move. But if they would have kept Judge, it would have been torture as a content creator and as a fan. Because going into next year, people would have been destroying Judge after the first quarter, let alone the first game. They would have been calling for his job, and he would have been going into the season with expectations of if you don't win at least 9 or 10 games, you have to get fired. I think the Giants needed to start over, and I'm glad that they did. Adam says, sup, fellas, not like the Giants had a top offense under Shermer, but it was serviceable. DJ had strong numbers for a rookie minus the turnovers. Seems one side of the ball is always okay and the other is garbage. We need to find the balance. Yeah. I mean, I'm in complete agreement with you on that. We had with Shermer, we had an average off. I wouldn't even say it was average. It was close to average with Daniel Jones. It was close to average. The defense was pathetic, but if you're being fair, we didn't have a whole lot of talent on the defensive side of the ball. I mean, the next year after we got rid of Shermer, that's when we signed Bradbury. That's when we signed Blake Martinez. We did have Leonard Williams for a half a season in 2019, didn't have him for a full season, and didn't have him for all of 2018. So the defense had a lot more talent. Logan Ryan as well was added to the defense. His first year here, he was good. So yes and no. I felt like Shermer didn't have enough talent on that side of the ball, but yeah, the offense was average. I wouldn't say it was great. Plus Betcher sucked.
Honey Hamhead Betcher.
He was horrible.
He sucked. He was terrible.
Lou Mateo says, how do you feel about Scott Pioli? I've seen a lot of people throwing Scott Pioli's name around because I think Carl Banks was pushing for him to get an interview with the New York Giants. I don't think we're going to interview him at this point. They've brought in 9 candidates. He's not one of them. They haven't requested an interview. Granted, I think they don't have to request an interview for him because right now he's not employed by an NFL team. But he's a former GM. I don't think he fits the mold right now of what they're looking for. If you looked at all these GMs they've brought in, they're 44 or younger. Pioli's, I don't know his age. I'm guessing he's approaching 60. He's a former GM. He's been in the league, but I don't think they're going to go that route. I think they're going to hire one of the 9 guys they've brought in. I mean, they've already started the interviews. They're five guys deep. They're going to interview 4 more, and then hopefully they have a couple of in-person video interviews rather, and we're going to get our GM. I don't expect them to bring in Scott Pioli or anyone else at this point. I think it'll be one of the 9 guys that they brought in. Mark, he says it doesn't get talked about how bad Graham was as a DC. Baddog, what do you think about that?
I don't know if he was bad. I mean, he wasn't aggressive, and I feel like that was Joe Judge. I feel like Joe Judge had a lot to do with the conservative nature of both sides of the football. I don't think we had a ton of talent on this defense, that's for sure. We have no pass rusher whatsoever. I do think that Graham was more aggressive in his previous job, but I mean, I don't know, man. I don't think he was bad. I don't think he had a lot to work with. I think this defense kept us in a lot of games, to be honest with you. I hated the soft zone, but it was the bend, don't break defense. That's what we played. And that was probably to keep teams from scoring touchdowns and letting them have 3 points because we weren't going to score a lot. So maybe he didn't want to get burned and go down 14-0 real quick because there was no way we were coming back. But I don't think Patrick Graham was a great he's not Belichick as a defensive coordinator. He's not Wade Phillips as a defensive coordinator or Rex Ryan or Buddy Ryan as a defensive coordinator, but I felt like he did a good job. I felt like he was the best coordinator on his team.
I'm agreeing with you. I'm not saying he's an elite defensive coordinator. I'm not saying he's an incredible defensive coordinator. I think from what he was provided with, especially in the first year, granted, we went up against a lot of backup quarterbacks, but I thought he did a pretty good job. And you look at some of the teams we played this year, to start the year, it was bad. The defense was bad. I even ragged on Graham for about 3 weeks. Then they got it in, then they got in shape. The Chiefs game, the defense was great. They took his game plan. He took Travis Kelce completely out of the game. So I think Patrick Graham was a solid coach for the New York Giants. He was one of the few guys that I underjudged that I thought did I wouldn't even say a really good job, a good job. He didn't necessarily meet my expectations this year, but I don't know. I didn't hate Graham. I didn't hate Graham. I don't think he was the problem with this team.
Well, this year, I think losing Blake Martinez was a huge blow to this team.
Yeah, that too.
We really didn't have a middle linebacker at that point. He was, he's the captain of the defense. You also lost Jabril Peppers this year. So, and they lost Dalvin Tomlinson. I mean, they lost pretty good parts of their defense. And again, we don't have a pass rusher. So I don't.
Yeah, that's not his
again. I just don't know. Our team has no talent, but I feel like the defense played up to their talent, if not above it. I don't feel like the rest of I certainly don't feel like the offense. The offense played below their talent. You can't tell me, I don't care how bad the offensive line is, you can't tell me when Daniel Jones was healthy, Saquon Barkley's healthy, Kenny Golladay, Kadarius Toney, Evan Engram, Sterling Shepard, when those guys are on the field, how are you scoring 14 points? No. That doesn't make any sense. They should have been scoring more than that. I know they scored 29 against Washington. That was a good game, but we scored 14 against Atlanta. We scored whatever it was, 14 against Denver, and 7 of them were in garbage time. We had to make a massive comeback in the fourth quarter against New Orleans to get up to 27. Scored 23 against the Raiders. We scored 13 against Philadelphia. The offense was terrible.
We were 31st, and we can talk about the injuries, and that definitely played a part this year with the offense, the last 6 games. But regardless, both years combined, we were 31st in total offense. Both years, each year, and I think combined we were 32nd. But individually, on an individual year basis, we were 31. We've been the worst offense in football since Joe Judge has become the head coach for the New York Giants.
There's no coincidence.
Yeah, so I don't think
Daniel Jones threw 24 touchdowns his rookie season. In 12 games, and I think he played 17 games for Joe Judge. Do 21 in 2 years here.
Yeah,
and 17 interceptions, 21 touchdowns, 17 interceptions.
And you can't blame it all on Garrett. You can't blame it all on Garrett. Now, granted, when they made the change, Kitchens didn't have Jones. Still looked really bad.
Yeah, no, this Garrett was part of it, but this was a lot bigger than Garrett.
Yeah, 100%.
Why when I did the video about him getting fired, I told people this is not changing anything. Don't expect any kind of change. Jason, and this was before, it wouldn't have mattered. It wouldn't have mattered if Daniel Jones was quarterback or not. This offense probably would have scored more than 35 meaningful points in the last 7 games or whatever it was, or 8, whatever, 6 games. I think we scored 56 points in the last 6 games. But offense was no good when he was that. And again, that I don't think it had anything to do with Jason Garrett at all. It had something to do with it, but not.
He was a part of the problem.
It wasn't going to matter.
He wasn't the problem. There was a lot of other issues with this team.
Yeah.
D says Joe Judge had a mini breakdown, wouldn't you? Probably would, but but the difference is, I listen. I get it. New York's not for everybody. There's a lot of pressure in New York. The fans are ragging on him. The media was ragging on him, and it got to a point where he felt like he needed to stick up for himself. But when you're a head coach, you're getting paid millions of dollars. Eli Manning never had a major breakdown. I know he's not a head coach, but you have to learn to compose yourself in a media market like this, because the media is going to take every crack they can at you. Any chance they get to try to create a moment like that, they're going to do it. And he handed it to him. They didn't even he intentionally did that. He went above and beyond to try to go on that 11-minute rant, and he had to know that it was probably not going to make him look very good. That's the type of thing that if he got fired, maybe you come out and say things like that. But it just wasn't a good idea. He cracked a lot of pressure. I understand it. But it showed that he lost his composure.
I mean, you can't go out there and just throw people under the bus. I mean, you can't blame. He was blaming people that weren't even here anymore for their failures. Him taking a shot at Pat Shurmur made no sense to me at all. I think he knew he was doing a terrible job, and Joe Judge's big problem was he just would not hold himself accountable. That was his big issue. A narcissistic personality. I'm not wrong. Everybody else is wrong. Or he would take accountability for something in the next breath. He would make an excuse as to why he had to take accountability for something. Like I said, man, I'm not going to. Kelvin Benjamin was a train wreck, but he came in here and said, I'm not playing for this guy. We had 3 guys retire in spring or training camp. The confrontation with Colombo last year, the firing of Jason Garrett, the shots at Ron Rivera, the shots at Pat Shurmur. The guy just wasn't a good coach. The inability to make adjustments throughout the game, the terrible clock management. We got outscored 75-0 in the last 2 minutes of the first half. He didn't know. It's like the Giants had no plan. It's like they didn't know what they were doing. They just seemed confused.
They didn't have an identity. They didn't have an identity.
Right. They didn't know what they wanted to do half the time. They looked lost. They looked confused. Yep. And I think that was a big problem. There really was no direction. He brought no direction here. In his mind, he thought he did, but on that field, there was no direction. The only direction was wrong. It was the wrong direction. They were going the wrong way down a one-way street. And all they were going to do was get in an accident that way, man. And that's what this team was. Big accident.
Yep. Abe says, Tana, do you think you can give a quick breakdown of the cap next year, possible releases, guys coming back, etc.? Yeah, I'm not going to show it, but I'll just read it to you off the top. I'll pull that up right now. I'm trying. I'll do it real quick. I'm not going to show it, but I'll read it real quick. The New York Giants right now have, let's see, according to Spot Track, and again, this is estimates. This is not including draft expenses, but right now they have negative $2.7 million in cap. In terms of the players they're going to cut, you're going to save $5 million if you cut Rudolph. Now you're up to plus 2.3. You're going to save $3 million if you cut Dixon. Now you're up to plus 5.3. You're going to save another $1 million if you cut. I think it's O'Shane Zimenez. That's like you're at now like 6. I think there's another small cut or 2. You're probably up to like 10 to 12 with some small cuts. And then when you get to the bigger players, Devontae Booker's another small cut that'll save you $2 million. And then when you get to the bigger players, Sterling Shepard's going to save you 4.5. That'd get you up to about 15 to 17. Then you got Blake Martinez could save you 9. That would get you up to about 26. And then Bradbury could save you another 12. So that now you're approaching about 40 if you were to cut all those players. Of course, you could reconstruct some salaries as well, including those players, potentially extend them. You could try to reconstruct Leonard Williams to create more cap space. You could try to reconstruct Adoree Jackson, Kenny Golladay, players like that. There's things the New York Giants are going to be able to do to create some cap space. But and then the draft expenses are going to be about $13 to $15 million, if I had to guess, being that they have 2 early first-round picks. So they're not going to have a whole lot. And next year, we got to realize that as fans. And I think the smart thing, Baddog, going into next year, the New York Giants can't go out there and spend like lunatics. The smartest thing they could do, what this GM should do, you let every free agent walk. outside of maybe Lorenzo Carter if it's a really good deal, and you hope that they sign big deals somewhere else and you get comp picks so you can continue to build in the future 2 years later in the 2023 draft. All of a sudden now you got 2 or 3 extra fourth-round comp pick because Evan Ingram signed a decent contract, or Jabril Peppers or whoever. That should be the goal. Let these guys walk, accrue draft capital, and think long-term, not next year. We're not going out there. We're not signing a top-tier offensive lineman. It's not going to happen. We don't have the money to do it, and it would be silly for this general manager to backload salaries on players that he had nothing to do with being here in the first place.
Yeah, I mean, our team sucks, and this roster is constructed poorly. If you want to build a real roster and a real championship contender, you do it through the draft. So the more draft capital you can get, the better off you are. Any of these guys that are free agents obviously haven't contributed much to us winning, so you're not going to hurt anything by them walking, in my opinion. You can get somebody in there cheaper that does just as well. 4-13, 6-10. This isn't getting it done. 3-13, 4-12, 5-11. They ain't getting it done. So yeah, get as many draft picks as you can and let the GM go at it. That's one thing that's attractive about the GM position right now is we have 5 picks in the top 80 or something like that. So, so that's big. That's big time. And we have 3 picks in the top 36?
About that.
37. So
yeah.
Oh man,
we got a lot of picks. Yeah, we got a lot of picks. That's the one thing we got going for us for sure. Darian says, "Who's your favorite GM head coach candidate?" I think at this point, I was kind of 1 and 1A between Joe Schoen and Adam Peters. I think I'm leaning Peters, but at the end of the day, I'm not going to have I don't think Baddog. It's not like we know these guys. I do my research. I see what they accomplished in the past, where they came from. But none of these guys are former GMs. They're assistant GMs or scouts or player personnel, whatever their job title may be. But right now I'd probably say Peters. I think he's grown on me a little bit more. I like the way that San Francisco built their team. I've read articles that he had a lot to do with a lot of the great players that they brought in there, George Kittle specifically. And he did he was big part of the Super Bowl team with the Denver Broncos before he got the job with the 49ers. By all accounts, he's a great candidate. A lot of people loved him last year. The 49ers had to create a title just to keep him on the team. Otherwise, they feared that he may sign somewhere else. They made him an assistant GM, and most people feel he's inevitably going to take over for Lynch. So I think Peters is probably my favorite right now, but by no means would I be upset if we got Joe Schoen or if we got a number of these other guys. No matter who they get, I'm going to give them a chance, just like I gave Gettleman, and I'm going to be excited that they're bringing in somebody from a good organization. As far as the head coach goes, I mean, if Peters is the guy, bring in McDaniel or bring in somebody that, that you're familiar with, but McDaniel being the offensive coordinator for the 49ers. I mean, you guys know I like Harbaugh, but that's not realistic. That's not going to happen. These guys are going to bring in somebody that they're comfortable with, that they're familiar with. We all know that Harbaugh is not the most, comfortable guy to work with. So I would guess if Peters got the job, they'd probably look for McDaniel, the offensive coordinator for the 49ers.
Yeah, I mean, that's what you want. You want your GM and your head coach to have a good working relationship. That's why the GM needs to be the one that hires the head coach. And then, like I said, you have to let the head coach. It's the same thing with him. You got to let the head coach work with guys he feels comfortable working with. You can't force guys on head coach and say, hey, you're going to go work with him. I mean, that doesn't always – that obviously was a recipe for disaster here. So whoever the GM picks head coach, and the head coach says, okay, I want this guy's my offensive coordinator, this guy's my defensive coordinator, and we'll let them have at it. Or at least, they should be at the top of the chart. I mean, obviously they got to go through an interview process, but I would imagine, they should be the favorite. Whoever the general or the head coach recommends that, hey, I want this guy. And I also think that this season, I don't want no damn 40 coases on this team. Cut that shit in half. You don't need all those coaches. That's a mess. You don't need that. There's no reason to have all those coaches here at all.
Yeah. No,
that's confusing. I think that can be confusing to play. You got one guy in your ear about this, got one guy in your ear about that, got the head coach talking about this, got the offense coordinator talking about that. Cut it down. Simplify it.
Yeah.
KISS. Keep it simple, stupid. That's what the Giants need to do.
By the way, we got over 900 people in here. Thank you to everybody for being here. If you guys haven't done so, hit that thumbs up, subscribe, ring the bell. More importantly, go over to Bad Dog Sports. We'll be over there next week, hopefully recapping who the Giants hired. Maybe the head. I would guess the head coaching search probably won't be done quite yet, but I would think the general manager search will be. So we'll definitely be over there recapping that next week. Maybe the head coach will be hired as well. And we'll probably be doing this up until the Super Bowl, and then maybe take a month break leading up into free agency and the draft.
Yeah.
But Thank you to everybody for being here. Thank you guys for all the support. Sean says, with the cap situation Dave Gettleman left us in, do you think they are forced to cut Bradbury and Martinez post June 1st? Give us about $22 million to work with. Well, if you wait till after June 1st, I don't think they do. They'd get that pre-June 1st. If they cut Martinez, they'd save, I think it's $9 million on his $14 million salary. They don't got to wait till June 1st to do that. And I think Bradbury's about 12. So I don't think they'd have to wait till June 1st. Are they forced to do it? They're not forced to. But we have to remember the guy that's coming in had nothing to do with these players. So if I was him, I'd probably want that $12 or $13 million to sign somebody I may want for this roster,
right,
or to extend somebody on this roster that I may want. Now, they may try to work something out with Bradbury or Martinez and get an extension, but and to try to lower this year's cost. But I honestly don't see them, especially Martinez coming off the injury. I don't see them bringing Martinez back on a $14 million salary when the guy coming in had nothing to do with him. He didn't sign him. I'd be surprised. I think they'll either cut Martinez or they'll extend him. That'll get a lower per year average.
It's also a big reason they front loaded the contract so they could get out of it after, he signed a 3-year deal. They could get out of it that last year. It's kind of what they did with some. That was the best thing about the contracts that they brought in that year. Yep. Was the fact that they were able to dump them after 2 years, these 3-year contracts. Chris and I was talking about, we don't like those 5-year deals where you're really stuck with the guys. The 3-year deals, the front loaded contracts are the best because you can get out from underneath it after a couple. If they dump Martinez, I'm telling you, man, the Kobe Dean's going to be a giant. We take a bulldog every year. Kobe Dean, he'll be an air giant.
He's most people's favorite. Well, him or Lloyd,
right.
Those 2 favorite linebackers right now.
Yeah,
Ethan says, I won't praise Mara just yet. He took us into the fire after all. I will give him props for admitting his mistakes, though. Let's go, Big Blue. Yeah, I'm not telling you to say the guy's a great owner. He hasn't been. He's been a horrible owner. Matter of fact, he's been the worst owner of the 3 teams that I root for, and that's hard. James Dolan's pretty horrible. But he's you have to give him credit. When I say the worst, I mean in recent years. So nobody kill me in the chat. Overall, Dolan's a much worse owner than Mara. I mean the last 5 or 6 years. But I have to give Mara credit, like you said, for taking responsibility. And I do think he's trying to do the right thing. He's changing. He's looking outside the organization. He's bringing in somebody with no ties to the New York Giants. It's something he needed to do. It's something that's obvious, but he still had to do it, and he's doing it. So for that, I'm going to give him credit. He still needs to execute. He still needs to bring in the right GM, and that guy still needs to hire the right coach to get this team going in the right direction. So we're far from out of the woods, but it's a step in the right direction.
Yeah. Again, he could have taken that narcissistic route, like I'm the owner of this team. No, this, whatever, blah, blah, blah. No, he didn't. He said, this is terrible. We did a bad job. He admitted that they were hasty in hiring the GM and the head coach, and they will not do that again. He said they were very hasty in it. They want to interview more candidates and want to take their time. He says, we definitely research these guys, but what did they interview? 3 people? They got a lot more candidates lined up. Like I said, he admitted this is as low as it's been. The only thing he did not take accountability for was that he only offered a medium soda. He should have taken accountability for that. I did hear a rumor he's upgrading to a large next year, so keep that in mind.
You think they're going to change it to Coke? I want them to change it to Coke.
No, if they have Pepsi products, you got to get a Pepsi.
Yeah, but they should change it to Coke after this mess. Change everything in the stadium.
They should go to Coke products. Coke products or Sprite. Sprite's a Coke product. I think Dr. Pepper. I think that's a Coke product. Is that a Pepsi? I think it is. It's a Pepsi product. I know that. Yeah. So get some Sprite. I prefer Coca-Cola myself to Pepsi. So
I'm with you.
I know John Mara listens. I know he does. I know they all do.
John, you're listening right now. We want Coke next year.
Yeah, that's right. Coca-Cola.
Chef says, what are the chances Neal and Linderbaum are there at 5 and 7? If they are, do we take them both and get an edge later, or take one and then an edge? Well, I think
they'll both be there. I can't see either one of them guys going to the.
I think Neal could.
Oh, Neal. I'm sorry. I was thinking of Kobe Dean. My bad.
Oh, yeah. No, I think Neal could. I don't know what they're going to do. You're asking me what I would do. Yeah, I would take the 2 linemen. I would take Neal and Linderbaum. That doesn't mean that's what the New York Giants will do. It all depends on their draft board. It depends on the GM that they bring in and what he prioritizes as the most immediate needs for this football team and what his big board says. But for me, yeah, I would be in love if we ended up with Neal and Linderbaum. That's kind of my dream, 2 guys to come out of this draft with Obviously, in an ideal scenario, you trade down and still get a guy like Linderbaum. That's in a perfect world. But if they pick those two guys at 5 and 7, I'd be thrilled. I would lean, and again, we don't know. Things change leading up into the draft. We still have the combine. We still have the Senior Bowl. There's so many things coming up. Background checks, player interviews. But right now, I'd probably lean that it's less. I would say that he's probably going to be gone when we pick Neil. I think Neil will more than likely go in the top 4, but that's not.
I think he's going to Jacksonville. I just have a feeling he's going. I don't know. What's that?
You think he's going first overall?
I think he could go to Jacksonvil. I really do.
I can see it.
I think Hutchinson's going to end up in Detroit. I mean, like I said, he's a Michigan guy, so but it'll definitely be interesting. All we got to do is look for the senior year MVP, the Senior Bowl MVP, and Gettleman's not here anymore, so we don't have to worry about that.
Got to worry about it.
Listen, I'm just going to say this. Like, I've heard a lot of people say, why does Gettleman get to retire? Why isn't he fired? Does it matter? It's semantics. I mean, does it really matter? He's not here anymore. They asked John Mara why he let him retire and didn't fire him. And he said, like, to get a head start, he said, you can't talk to anybody during the regular season that's still coaching. You got to talk to the one, or, still a GM. And he said, you have to talk to guys in the street, and everybody that we're interested in is with an organization. So that was why he said it wasn't going to make a difference. They did fire Reese in the middle of the year. And what did that do for us? It got us Dave Gettleman. So again, I think it's semantics. In your head, just think that he was fired because he was going to get fired. He was out.
Yeah, I didn't care. I mean, I just thought it was, I kind of felt bad for Judge after the fact when the majority of the fan base is Venom and myself, me also, because it was like you said, it was already baked in that Gettleman was going to retire. We already knew that.
Yeah.
So everybody's venom was pointed at Judge when really the guy who should have gotten the majority of the blame or more of the blame than Judge was Gettleman. I mean, let's be honest. Gettleman was here 2 more years. He built this team. So I felt a little bit bad about that in terms of Judge. But like you said, I think it was just the scenario where we knew Gettleman.
Listen, Chris, I said all year, Judge, you can keep throwing them damn bodies into the bus. It's going to hit you eventually. So Gettleman got thrown under there. Colombo got thrown under there. Garrett got thrown under there. And what happened? Da-doom, whack. You're done. That's what happened to him.
You're right.
That's what happened. And there was no way he was going to keep his. There's no way Mara could have sold Joe Judge coming back here.
Nope.
It just was not going to happen because it would have been the same vicious cycle. And again, we talked about this before. If the Giants got off to an 0-4 start, 0-5 start, he was going to be fired. And what good would that have done in the middle of the year?
Other than just, I guess, make it so he can't make any trades at the deadline, but he didn't make any trades at the deadline anyway.
Right. So it wasn't going to do any good.
I know the fans wanted like their pound of flesh. The guy retired. Who cares? Let him retire.
That's what I mean. It's just semantics. He's gone. We don't have to worry about him anymore. We got a fresh young guy coming in here with hopefully a 21st century football philosophy. We get a good head coach. We get a good draft. I'm not expecting to go to the playoffs, but hopefully we see some improvement. We start building stuff. We see a competitive team. We see a coach that gets the best out of his players this year. As a New York fan, and I can't speak for everybody, I'm pretty sure most New Yorkers or Northeasterners are like this. We're Philadelphia people are the same way. We're very hard-headed. We're hard workers. We're blue-collar people. We, for the most part, take accountability for our mistakes. At least I do. All I want to hear is accountability. I screwed up. Everybody screws up. Everybody. So what's the difference? I'm wrong. Yeah. Oh, well, my bad. I'm wrong. I got to fix it. So fix it. Well, I got to go look at the tape. Well, we got to do this right there. We got to do that right there. No one wants to hear that. Want to hear him listen. I need to do a better job as head coach of this team. I got to get us a better job. I got to do a better job of getting us prepared to play. This is unacceptable. These results are unacceptable. So we got to go in. We got to change things. That's all I wanted to hear from him. That's it. Yeah. Never heard it. Never heard that from him.
It's fair. Don says, I got nothing against Flores, but I don't see why everybody seems to be crazy about him. Yeah, the Dolphins finished off the season strong, but they started off 1-7. I'm sure there's other coaches. Yeah, I mean, listen, I like Flores, but he's not the be-all, end-all for me. And to be honest with you, as much as I do like Flores, because I do think he's a good head coach, to me, he's not probably my ideal coach because, like I told Bad Dog earlier, I want more of an offensive-minded head coach. If I'll give Flores a lot of credit. I mean, he took over a Miami team. A lot of people did not think was gonna win a game his first year there. They traded everybody away. They won 5. The next year they won 10. This year, like you said, they started 1-7. They finished 9-8, and they definitely fought for him down the stretch. And the reason he was fired was not, in my opinion, not football reasons. It was probably due to the fact that he wasn't getting along with upper management, whether it be the Deshaun Watson situation, whatever else it may be. But for me, I want more of an offensive-minded head coach. That's what I want. If they were to hire a guy like Flores, they better bring in a damn good offensive coordinator. Because one thing Flores showed, Miami's offense was not very good. The other thing that I think is highly questionable about Flores, if you really dive into his career with the Miami Dolphins, that I question, and I question it when he did it, the handling of Tua in his rookie year. To bring Tua in midseason and then pull him out with like 2 or 3 weeks to go, I thought that was a horrible job by Flores in terms of the handling of his rookie quarterback in Tua. Think about that with the Giants. They could have easily done that with Eli, right? When they had Kurt Warner, they pulled Warner after 4 or 5, 6 weeks, whatever it was. And Eli struggled mightily down the stretch. But once you bring that rookie quarterback in, you roll with him. You don't mess with his head. So I think a lot of people got on Flores for that as well. Richard says, congratulations, guys, for the restructure of your team. Good luck next year. Wish you all the best. Thank you so much, Richard.
Thank you, sir. And Richard, I'd wish your Cowboys good luck, but I certainly wouldn't mean it. So I'm trying to think of the word. I'm very genuine. So I'm not going to sit here and lie to you and say, yeah, good luck when I'm going to be rooting against you. So
we're rooting against you.
I'm rooting against you. I'm
going to tell you what, man, Doug, what do you think of that matchup against the 49ers?
I think the Cowboys will win, but I think it'll be a good game. I do.
Yeah, I think they drew a tough team, man. I think if I was a 49ers, Cowboys fan rather, I think I would have rather played the Cardinals. The Cardinals kind of coasted at the end of the year.
I don't know. Cardinals whooped their ass last time they played them.
They beat them by a couple of points, but the Cardinals started 7-0. They finished 11-6, and they just didn't look like the same team.
Kyler Murray got hurt. That had something to do with it too.
Hopkins is hurt though, right? I don't think Hopkins is playing.
Yeah, he's been hurt. Murray got hurt, so
the Niners, man. The Niners won 7 out of the last 9. They beat the Rams twice during that stretch, and they won in Cincinnati. And I think one of those losses was an overtime loss against the Titans. So I don't know, man. Niners coming in hot. They got that Super Bowl.
Game against the Rams was pretty awesome. That was a damn good game. That was really good. There's a couple of good games at the end of the Chargers and Raiders was hilarious to me.
I thought they were going to kneel.
When Pittsburgh wins and the Colts lose, Pittsburgh's probably thinking, "Oh my God, we're in the playoffs," and then they had to be holding their breath at the end of that game, going, "Oh my God, we're not going to get because of a tie."
Let me ask you, Bad Dog, in that situation,
Tomlin needs to send something to the Raiders.
I was going to ask you, though, if you were the Raiders coach in that situation, you've got 38 seconds to go. You know the opposition's not calling a timeout. If you kneel, you're in the playoffs.
They did call a timeout.
They did, but they did it, but it was when there was like 3 seconds on the play clock, and there were 38 seconds to go. Had they kneeled on the next play, it would have been game over. They would have let the clock run out. I would have just kneeled if it was.
I'm trying to win the game.
But here's the thing:
I'm not.
If they kick that field goal and it gets blocked and they run it back for a touchdown, you would never hear the end of it.
You wouldn't. But the odds of that happening are. I mean, those odds.
The odds of you going to the playoffs are 1,000,000% if you just kneel.
I understand that, but at the same time, I don't want to be the coach who's like, "Oh, I want to win every game." That's just me. That's my mentality. I want to win every game. I don't want to tie. I don't care if it gets me in the playoffs or not. Listen, if a field goal gets blocked and we don't get into the playoffs because they block a field goal, return it for a touchdown, it's not meant to be. But one of the few things they got right this year, sleeper pick in the AFC, Vegas Raiders.
You did. And they got a tough game coming up against Cincinnati. But regardless, nobody in a million years saw them making the playoffs this year. So I tip my cap to you. That was a great call by you. Richard says, congrats. Oh, I already read that. And Richard Rodriguez, man, thank you very much. Stop. Graham was bad. Teams knew they didn't have to go full throttle because the offense was dog shit. His saving grace was good red zone defense.
That was his defensive game plan, though.
Yeah. I'm not.
I don't think he wanted to allow the big play. I think that's why I didn't like but I think that was his philosophy. And again, tell me, who the hell's a superstar in the Giants defense? Who's the guy you look at and go, damn, that guy's a difference maker?
They don't have it.
They don't have one. So, I'm not saying Patrick Graham was great, but I'm not going to say he was dog crap. I think he did as much as he could with the team that's out there. There's not a difference maker. McKinney's pretty good. He's not a great tackler. One thing I see McKinney do sometimes is kind of quit on plays. I don't like that. I like Ojulari a lot. People say Tay Crowder was bad. Maybe his PFF grade was bad. I thought for a guy that was picked last in the draft, I thought he had a pretty solid year. But Ojulari may be great, but he's inconsistent. Crowder's inconsistent. McKinney's there's a lot of inconsistencies. Lorenzo Carter was great the last 3 weeks. Where the hell was he the first 14 weeks? Leonard Williams, not really worth the money.
No, definitely not worth the money.
Quincy Roche had a couple nice moments, but Dory Jackson was like, there's just nobody there. You're like, that makes your heart turn, like a Micah Parsons or, a TJ Watt.
Yeah.
None of those guys.
Yeah. A kid called Chris says, "What's up, fellas? I saw earlier that Doug Peterson is the favorite for the head coaching job." Yeah, that's according to Vegas. I wouldn't read too much into it. It's possible. He says, "Surely not. I'm not having a man that wears a visor coach this team."
To be fair, a man that wears a visor won the national championship this year or so. Kirby Smart wears a visor all the time. Georgia
But
Bull
as far as Peterson goes, I mean, he doesn't really have any link. I mean, I'd have to think. I don't think he has any links to these GMs. I could be wrong on that, but I mean, it's possible we could bring him back. He's a former Super Bowl winning head coach. I wouldn't be. I mean, listen, I'm going to give the guy a chance, just like I would anybody else. But I wouldn't be thrilled if they hired Doug Peterson.
I like that Peterson goes outside of the box with some things, but at the same time, I feel like that can be his undoing. There was definitely some
the 2-point conversion
calls. He goes for 2 at the weirdest times. He does some awkward things, and there was definitely some times I felt like the Eagles went in spite of Doug Peterson.
The other thing that rubs you the wrong way with Peterson, especially in today's era, and I know we like tough-nosed coaches and all that, but it doesn't always work. The other thing that sticks out to me is the relationship that he had with Carson Wentz down the stretch. Like Carson Wentz couldn't stand the guy. Is that what is that a ringing endorsement to bring in a head coach who couldn't get along with his supposed at the time franchise quarterback?
Right. And he drafted him. He was there when they drafted Wentz. So
I'm not in love with Peterson. I don't think
I'll be surprised if Peterson gets a job. It depends on the GM though.
Yeah.
If Shane comes in here, what link does Shane have with Peterson? Again, your GM is going to want to hire a guy he feels he can work with, and we'll just have to wait and see. I'll be surprised. And again, like you said, Chris, he's not my favorite, but whoever we bring in, I'm going to give him a chance.
Yeah, that's all you can do. And NY Giants 26 says Josh McDaniels could be a serious head coaching candidate. I doubt it. That's another former Patriot.
Yeah, no, he's been bad as a head coach.
No ties to anybody. I mean, you want to talk about a guy that was in over his head the first
time. I don't want that guy.
My God, that guy was a lunatic. And I can't believe that Denver gave that guy full say, too. Before he was like 35 years old, he thought he was Bill Belichick. Not in love with Josh McDaniels. That's the same guy that got offered the Indianapolis Colts job, and then he backed off on it, and that's why they hired Frank Reich. He's got a bit of an ego to me too. I'm not in love with Josh McDaniels. Mark, thank you very much, man. I am the last person to say good things about Jones, but people forget the one game the O-line showed up. Jones threw for 400 yards at the Saints. Jones looked pretty good the first 4 games this year, if we're being honest. He looked really good against Washington. He looked really good against the Saints. The Denver game, he looked mediocre.
He wasn't good against Atlanta.
Yeah, again, mediocre. He had 2 really good games and 2 mediocre games to start the year. And then the Dallas Cowboys game, he had the concussion and all the injuries with the team. He showed spurts. He's shown spurts his entire career, but he showed spurts. But not enough to say that he's a franchise quarterback. Not right now, anyway.
Again, the thing that I looked at, and again, I don't know if this means average time in the pocket or how long it took before they threw it, but Daniel Jones was up there with 3 other quarterbacks for most time in the pocket at 2.5 seconds. So, again, this offensive line was certainly inconsistent. It certainly was no good. But some people act like every time Daniel Jones dropped back to pass, he was getting killed. It's not the case, especially early on in drives. When you're third and forever, and teams can go after you, our offensive line had no chance. On obvious passing situations, our line had no chance. But Daniel Jones had opportunities to throw the ball. And again, we'll see what happens with him this year. I feel like Daniel Jones can still be a good quarterback, but he needs a lot to go right around him. That, to me, that's not an elite quarterback when you need everything to be really great around you in order to elevate your game. I think that is more of a game manager that could be an average to above average quarterback. Kind of like Ryan Tannehill. You know, Tennessee's got a great line, got Derrick Henry rushing for 2,000 freaking yards. And he's not asked to throw for 4,000, 4,500 yards and 35 touchdowns. He's just asked to make the plays, and he succeeds there because they don't ask him to do too much. I definitely think that could be Daniel Jones. I say that about Dak Prescott. I feel like if Dak was here, Dak would not be good with the Giants because I just feel like Dak is good, but he's another guy that just has a really perfect situation in Dallas. Good O-line, good running game, great receivers, good offensive coordinator, and Kellen Moore. Do you think Kellen Moore has a chance to come here?
I mean, anything's possible. I don't want to fall for the trap for Kellen Moore. It seems like a lot of people are in love with Kellen Moore. I don't know how much I'm buying into Kellen Moore. Like, I know Dallas has had a good offense, but
they got a good offense.
Wouldn't most offensive coordinators look good with Dallas? I mean, you're talking about a top 5 offensive line in the sport, arguably the best weapons in the sport when you combine the wide receivers and the running backs that they have, if not the best, among the best, top 5 in terms of the wide receiver, the skill position, a top 5 offensive line, and above average quarterback. So I don't know. Is Kellen Moore truly head coaching material? I don't know. He's done a great job as an offensive. Like Jason Garrett did a great job as an offensive coordinator when he first started there too.
Scott Linehan didn't though. They had almost the same team, and they were not a great offensive team with Scott Linehan. So Kellen Moore is better than him. But yeah, I mean Dallas has a very good. I just know I don't want Kellen Moore to be honest with you, but that's a name that's getting floated around as well as a guy that may go for a head coaching job.
It's possible. Not likely, in my opinion. Christopher says, I believe the new GM will move on from Jones. And the reason we have had he is the reason we've had a bad offense for 2 years. He's part of the reason. I don't think he's the reason, but he's part of the reason. I'll agree with you on that. I think a big reason is the offensive play call, the offensive line, and Jones is the quarterback. He's part of the reason. Joe Judge is part of the reason as well. Injuries at the skill position and not having players at the skill position the previous year. I mean, there's so many reasons. I don't think Jones is the only reason, but he is part of the reason.
Yeah. And Jones has not been able to get through one season without being injured. Yeah. Not one. And we don't know what this neck thing is. So it is very possible that they do. It absolutely is possible that they move on from Daniel Jones.
Here's my opinion. If I was the general manager, I wouldn't take it.
Wouldn't surprise me either way.
It wouldn't surprise me. I think they could take a quarterback.
Either way. If he stays, it wouldn't surprise me. If he goes, it wouldn't surprise me.
They have to be completely sold on one of these quarterbacks, though, because you and I both agree. The second a general manager takes a quarterback, his job's on the line. If he takes Kenny Pickett and Kenny Pickett fails and you take him top 5, you're out of a job in 3 years. That's the truth. That's the fact of the matter. So they better be completely sold if they take a quarterback top 5 that he's going to be the guy. If it was me and I'm the GM, I think the safer approach is building up this team a little bit and then taking the quarterback in 2023. You almost buy yourself a year. You almost buy yourself a year if you're a GM. You're like, all right, I just inherited this team. This team sucks. Let me start building it up before I put myself on the clock. The second I draft that quarterback, I know my job's on the line. If this quarterback doesn't turn out good in 3 or 4 years, that's what I'm ultimately going to be judged on. If it's me, I'm building up the rest of this team. Then I'm going out and getting my quarterback. But
I agree. I mean, because if you bring in a quarterback into this situation and he gets wrecked his first year here, I mean, it is also possible, Chris, that they draft the quarterback and they leave him behind Daniel Jones for a year and then they build the thing in 2023. But we've talked about this probably since October because we've been out of the thing since October. This is one of the deepest, most talented offensive line drafts you're going to see. This is the year and it's a weak quarterback class. This is the year to build that line. This is the year that you do that. You have a lot more cap space in 2023. I know Bryce Young is the hot name. I get all that. We might not have a chance to get Bryce Young, but you'll have more cap space. You'll have a lot more flexibility going into 2023 if you want to try to get a quarterback that way. You really don't know, but whoever you really need a good offensive line for a young quarterback to succeed. Unless he's a Kyler Murray, he's a Deshaun Watson, he's an Aaron Rodgers, he's an elite level talent. And I'm sorry, I don't see any elite level talents in this quarterback class. I don't see it.
Yeah. And Sammy says, off topic, if the day ever comes for Mara having a buyout with years in ownership of the Giants, do you see Kurtwood Smith playing the role? I don't even know who Kurtwood Smith is.
I have no idea who that is here.
Kurtwood Smith. That is a random. Oh, I can see it. I'm looking at him now. Let me pull him up for Bad Dog so you can see who he is. I can see it. I can see it a little bit. He's got the. Okay. Let me get a good picture of him.
Somebody said, Bad Dog, you're not a scout. Neither are you. Neither are you.
I'm not a scout
either. So what the hell are you talking about? No matter
what they do, I'm going to give them an opportunity to prove us wrong, or right, regardless of what. This is him, by the way. You see it?
Definitely. I can see that.
I can see that. That guy could play John Mara. I could see that, Bad Dog.
I can see that.
Not bad, Sammy. Good suggestion there. He's got the big forehead like Mara's got. I can see it. Samuel says, I hear all these names floating around for GM head coach, but I have PTSD. I'm too scared that Mara will F it all up again, and we will all have to blow it up again. I mean, all you can do is give him a chance, Samuel. I mean, that's all there is. I mean, I understand you're scared. This team hasn't been good for 10 to 12 years, but all I can tell you is they're doing it differently this time. He's definitely, it seems, learning from his ways. He's hiring from outside the organization. They have no ties to the New York Giants. And I could only assume the fact that he's already fired Judge, he's going to allow this GM to make the decisions in terms of building this football team. So I understand that we're all hurt from the past, so on and so forth. But all you can do as a fan is sit back, relax, and enjoy the show and hope that the guy that they bring in builds the team the proper way. I do think that we're finally doing it the right way. That doesn't mean we're going to hire the right guy. And we'll see what happens over the next 2 or 3 years. The only thing I'm going to say, Bad Dog, is like you said earlier in the stream, we cannot go into the first year of this GM's tenure expecting immediate results. We have to recognize, for everybody that has destroyed Dave Gettleman, rightfully so, he has now left this GM with a horrible situation that he has to clean up.
That's why we got to build in the trenches. You're supposed to build from the inside out. Gettleman didn't do that. Started with the backfield, then he went to the quarterback, and the offensive line was still neglected. Then he took Andrew Thomas, but that was the only year that they addressed the offensive line in the draft. That was it. They never made a concerted effort to really address this thing. So I have a feeling that this regime will do that. I really do, because I feel like whoever comes in here, and the most messed up thing about the Giants and Gettleman's tenure not addressing it is the first thing he said was he was going to fix it. And they didn't even try. They didn't try. You went with it. You went with a project and Parrott, a 5th-round pick in Lemieux, the guy from Kentucky who didn't even make the team. You brought in Nate Solder. You drafted Will Hernandez.
And Zeitler. Right?
Yeah. And they brought in Zeitler, but then they cut Zeitler.
They let him go after 2 years, yeah.
So
I was, in terms of him trying for the offensive line, I was fine with it up until this year. When you completely neglected it, I was like, what the hell are you doing? Like, to put all your faith in Matt Parrott and Shane Lemieux was a big disaster.
Yeah. They
didn't try this year, and they needed to. Rick, man, thank you very much, man. The moment I knew Judge wasn't the guy was when he threw the challenge flag against the Broncos. My gut told me right then and there. Well, I think what your gut told you there, Rick, is that he thinks emotionally. He doesn't, and you saw it during the press conference as well with the 11-minute. He may try to portray that he's this guy that's very composed and well thought out. This is the same guy that got into a fist fight, apparently, or at least a strong verbal altercation with Mark Colombo. Got into fights with members of the coaching staff. Got into a fight, apparently, with Kelvin Benjamin. Now you're talking about the throwing the flag. It's an emotional decision. He's not thinking logically. You saw the 11-minute, rant that he went on with the press. So, I think it showed at times he could lose his cool.
I always laugh at the challenge. As soon as that happened, I was on Joe Judge. Last year, I was all about Joe Judge. That the first game, you can always tell the tenor of a season by the first game. He also said that the first few games are an extension of the preseason, which is one of the dumbest things a head coach. He was almost two things. Number one, he didn't play any starters in the preseason, which was dumb as hell.
Yeah.
Then he says, the first few games are an extension of the preseason. He was trying to give himself a built-in excuse already for losing those games. Okay. The challenge flag thing, I knew then and there in the first game of the season, I knew we're going to be a bad team. And then especially when Dexter Lawrence jumped off sides and we lost that way, I said, this is not our year. But I joke around about it all the time because we were doing this show in August And people are taking bets, or not bets, but they're like, who's the first guy Bad Dog's going to have the rant about? Who is the first guy he's going to go off? Daniel Jones. A lot of Daniel Joneses. Some people said this guy. Some people said that guy. Then I did the post game for the Denver loss, and some of the people were like, I never thought it'd be Joe Judge. That was most of my venom was at him the entire season.
Yeah.
And deservedly so. He did a very poor job this year.
Yeah, he did. Dustin says, do you think the chances increase we trade away players or cut them like Barkley, Martinez, Bradbury, maybe Jones, to square more capital and cap? Dustin, I don't think we're going to trade Jones. I don't think you're going to get much for him coming off the neck surgery. I do think every player in the team right now, unless you're a guy that's a year or two into his career, the chance of you not being here next year went up. The fact that you have a new GM and a new head coach coming in with no ties to anybody on this roster, every player went up. I just don't think the market really will be there for Daniel Jones with the neck injury. So I don't think they'll trade him. If there's a market, maybe they would. I don't know. And I think it's the same thing for Barkley. I don't think there'll be a big enough market to trade him. You're not paying him much. As a matter of fact, it's a reduction in this year's salary. Coming back on that 5th-year option, he's getting paid $7 million next year. If you're going to improve the offensive line, I think it's smarter to keep Barkley and hope he plays really well and then look to trade him. Maybe if his value goes up a bit and you find a starving team that's trying to compete for a Super Bowl and they feel they can bring him on the roster and it could be a big difference maker. You think about a team like the Buffalo Bills, a team like that perhaps that, kind of lacks in the running game that is well equipped everywhere else. So I think that's the approach I would take with Barkley. I definitely wouldn't be allergic to trading him, but I just think right now his market's way too low. As far as the other players that you said, yeah, I think Martinez, Bradbury certainly could be cut by the Giants. I wouldn't be surprised at all.
I just thought about something because I know he watches too. I owe somebody an apology. I owe Shannon Sharp an apology. When the Giants first hired Joe Judge, I believe it was Shannon Sharp that said that doesn't work in this league. That attitude doesn't work. You can't come in here with that tough guy attitude. That's not working. He was right. He was right. I gave him hell for that. I remember saying, you don't know what the hell he's talking about. You don't know what you're talking about. He did. He's right. He knew that did not work at all. And other guys have talked about before too. When you don't have any laurels to rest on, when you haven't proven anything, and then you start losing, that's why I talked about his inflexibility this year, because you're losing and you're not changing your attitude or your philosophy or anything. You keep thinking, if I just keep saying this, things are going to change. That's not how it works. That was my biggest hang up with Joe Judge, is that every week, Chris, we saw the same plays, the same give up, the same conservative nature every week from him. Nothing changed. Nothing. And they continue to lose, and they continue to say and do the same things. That is the definition of insanity. So, yeah, Shannon Sharp was right. That approach did not work at all.
Did
not work.
The nail on the head, man. I'll be the first to say, man. And it was probably because we were excited because they had a new head coach.
It was.
You want to back the guy. You want to give him a real opportunity. He's exciting. He had a great opening press conference. Yeah. And we're fans at the end of the day. But, yeah. Shannon Sharp was right.
So, Shannon, you're right, bro. Sorry about that.
And the RZA.
I'll give you a benefit of the doubt next time.
RZA says Peters and Mike McDaniel. McDaniel is a genius. Yeah, I that's who I said. I think that would be, because I want Peters and that McDaniel's probably going to be the guy that he would bring in. A lot of people look at McDaniel and like, is that guy really a football coach? Because he comes across like nerdy. He's built basically like a computer geek. At the end of the day, if they win games, Baddog, I could care less what he looks like. If he's winning football games and he's a smart guy and he's getting the most out of this offense, I could care less what the hell the guy looks like.
Yeah, I don't care what he looks like. I don't care what he does. I don't care what his hobbies are. He wins games. He's good by me. That's all I care about. This is with Judge. I don't care what happens in the locker room. I don't care what these players do outside the locker room. I don't care what they do in their lives. That has no effect on me. What they do in the field does have an effect on me. Not directly, like it doesn't change what I have to do to live my life, but the fact that I emotionally invest myself 3.5 hours, well, not even just 3.5 hours on a Sunday, for 4 months I invest myself in this team. So yeah, I care what they do on the field. I'm a fan. What they do off the field, I don't care. I don't care what. Lawrence Taylor was not a saint off the field. Lawrence Taylor had tons of issues. Do you think I cared? When that man's going out there and getting 9 tackles and 2.5 sacks and causing all kinds of havoc and winning games for the Giants? No.
when you're winning, when you're winning, the culture's good. You don't care.
Yeah,
You know?
exactly.
Same
He
thing
could
with the
fall
Mets.
asleep in meeting and do whatever the hell he wanted to.
Look
Because
at the
on
86
Sunday, the
Mets.
man showed up.
Look at the 86 Mets. They had more cocaine in their locker room
There
than
you
the
go.
whole state of New York.
Yeah,
Nobody cared.
half the time they didn't have any third base lines when the game started.
Tudo, thank you very much. Says, ciao, fellas. New York Giants legend of all time. Drop by to pay our proper respects. And for all Giants fans around the world, slam all the birds to the ground. Let's hope the birds get knocked around this week, Tudo, man. Thanks for popping in, buddy. And then he went on to say, Moron Mara had a bad habit of gambling and bringing in all cheap GMs, head coaches, and low cost with high risk and reward for a decade. And it's never paid off, and he never learns.
Hopefully he does this time too. That's all we can hope for is that he has learned. And it does sound like they have already, for the fact that they are looking outside the organization for the first time in 43 years since George Young. They're finally looking outside of not 43 years. They hired George Young in 79, and then whenever he retired, I forget when that was, but everybody else was part of this organization. So I'm glad they're looking outside the organization and not having any ties to the Giants. I like that they're going to just look for the best candidate, not somebody that's recommended to them, not somebody that's been part of this organization, somebody that they feel is going to do the best job regardless. So I feel like that's already changed the way they're looking at their GM candidate.
I'm with you. Israel says it was big to fire Judge, so the players would go into the season motivated after this horrible season, in my opinion.
I heard a lot of players didn't like him, Chris. I know that they had Daniel Jones come out. It's like Daniel Jones was held hostage, trying to say nice things about the guy. Leonard Williams said, I love the guy. And then there was one other guy. I think it was Dexter Lawrence.
I think Barkley said that, maybe.
Barkley didn't even know he was the head coach. Barkley said he was the head coach.
The week before. The week before Barkley said nice things. But maybe
I heard that the players didn't like him.
There was a report that came out that at least people from within the locker room didn't like him, or at least some people, maybe not the full locker room. I think it's one of those things, Bad Dog, like you said, when you're a hard ass and, you preach all these fundamentals, so on and so forth, it works when you win. When you're Bill Belichick, it works. But when you don't have the winning aspect that Bill Belichick does and the history and the resume that Bill Belichick does, there comes a point where the players aren't going to buy in anymore.
Yeah, I agree.
I think that's what happened. But thank you very much, man. I think Amid's up next. Let me get to Amid. What's up, Amid? Says, I totally agree with Bad Dog about cutting down other coaching staff. Maybe Joe Judge might do a better job running a call center with all those coaches. Yeah, maybe he'll start his own business. Dan, man, thank you very much, man. Stand up, new member Dan DeFusco. You think he's Irish, Bad Dog?
Yeah, that's definitely an Irish name.
Maybe a German name.
Maybe it's German
or Vietnamese.
Yeah, that's a good old paisan right there. Yeah, we got a lot of them on this channel.
Pennsylvania, thank you very much, man. As bad as this team was to watch, Maris should have gave out bottles of Patron. That way, no one would have gave a shit.
Facts.
Maybe maybe it's something a little bit stronger than Patron. Maybe 151 would have done the trick. Maybe a hypnotist. Yeah. He
should have been giving out nice scotch.
Yeah.
Should have been giving out nice scotch.
I gotta get some scotch. You're always drinking scotch. I gotta get
some scotch. You gotta get a good scotch. Don't get that mixed malted blend crap.
I gotta have you tell me which one to get. I'm gonna
get you a nice single malt 18-year or older scotch. 18 or better. Macallan is good. Glenfiddich is good. Chevitz is good. But you want 18 years or older. It gets expensive when you get to 21 year, that stuff's expensive, but that's the best scotch you're going to find. So if you want to go spend $400, $500 a bottle of scotch, it'll be well worth it. You're not like, that's what I spend on my scotch. And I don't drink it in like 3 weeks. That stuff lasts like 2 years. Yeah. So I just finished that. Of course, the Giants didn't win any games, so that had a lot to do with it. One year, Chris, I would like to go through the whole bottle of scotch for the Giants. And not because I'm depressed.
Peter Piper says, you guys have the best content about the Giants on here regardless. Thank you so much, by the way.
Thank you.
Regardless of GM and coach, they choose which offensive coordinator available. Do you think it will help Jones? Which offensive coordinator do you think will help Jones the most if they stick with him? Yeah, I mean, listen, I don't know which offensive coordinator they're going to even think to bring in until I know who the head coach is going to be. Like, if it's Dable, he's going to be the offensive coordinator, or at least he's going to be calling the plays. Maybe he won't have the title, but he'll be calling the plays much like Pat Shermer was, I would assume, because that's his trade. He's an offensive coordinator. He's known as being one of the better ones in the sport. So I have to see who they hire first. But in terms of the type of offense, I think it has to be similar to the type of offense you drafted him for, the West Coast style offense. I think that suits him better, especially with an offensive line that you know is not going to be elite, even if you draft 2 early offensive linemen this year. So I think you have to be able to.
It's going to take time for them to gel. There's no doubt.
It's going to take time for them to gel and be a cohesive unit. So I would say a West Coast style offense is probably the best approach. Which guy, I don't know. I don't even know who the head coach is going to be yet.
Yeah, I don't know either. It's going to be an interesting offseason. I think that obviously for a content creator, this is good because it gives us something to talk about, during the dead time of football. But as a fan, it sucks because when you're going through all these changes, it's because your team was terrible. You'd rather Chris and I'd rather be talking about the upcoming playoff games and going all the way into February to the Super Bowl and talking about the Super Bowl championship for the entire offseason instead of all these changes. But hopefully these changes get us moving.
Look, wouldn't it be nice? Wouldn't it be nice 1 year? And it might happen eventually on YouTube. Wouldn't it be nice 1 year to just be like, I'll worry about the draft on April 10th.
Yes.
Like you're just like, yeah, we made the Super Bowl. We're coasting. I'm going to celebrate for a couple of weeks, make a couple of celebratory streams and videos, and just sit back and relax, and we'll talk about the 32nd overall pick this year.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. I would love to have that where it's just like, I don't even care. The first round pick is pretty much a second round pick.
Yeah.
Whatever.
Wouldn't be
nice.
Your
team is set when you have that, all that going on.
Yeah.
Kevin said, one of these years, that'd be great. I don't even know. I wouldn't even know what the hell to do winning a Super Bowl. Like I said, I watched Uncle Lou celebrate that Georgia championship, and I was happy for him. And I'm just sitting there going, God, I do remember the feeling, but it's vague to watch your team win a title. It's been 10 years. It's a great feeling. I would love to know what the hell it's like again. It's been a long time since, and I've been spoiled. I'm a Yankee fan and Giants fan. I've been watching since '84. I've seen 10 titles between the Rangers, Giants, and Yankees. A lot of people don't get to see 10 titles in their lifetime, and sometimes you get that sense of entitlement. You see those teams play really well for 30 years, and then all of a sudden they fall off, and now this is why I'm probably so pissed. I got spoiled.
Yeah,
that happens. You get spoiled. You expect, especially with the Yankees. I'm harder on the Yankees than any team because I just expect they're held to a different level than any team in professional sports. That one. Yeah. So
it's
extremely hard on them. They win 94 games. I'm pissed because I got spoiled. Yeah. I got spoiled when they were 93. When they won 93 games, I'm like, damn. All right. Then they went on
we're going down the right direction.
If I win the World Series, and you get a totally different aspect of what your team should be, and that happened with the Giants. Even though they had some lean years in the 90s, they still made the playoffs every couple of years, and you could see things happening. And 4 Super Bowls in 27 years is a lot for a football team. It really is. Cowboys ain't won one in 27 years. So,
yeah. Kevin says, Flores, 3 offensive coordinators in 3 years and issues with management. No thanks. Yeah, that's the red flag with him. He hasn't gotten along with upper management, hasn't gotten along with the coaches, and the fact that there was reports he didn't get along with Tua. So
yeah, and I think in the stream I mentioned Brian Flores when I did the Joe Judge thing, and there was a Dolphins fan. He said, "I'm a Dolphins fan. You don't want Brian Flores." That was what he said. So. I'll be shocked if he's our coach.
I don't think he's gonna be the coach. I'd be surprised if he's our coach. Dan, thank you so much, man. He says, don't care what John Mara says. Having Chris and his nephew still there, they will influence the GM and coach. I would agree. I would say that Chris Mara is going to at least slightly influence it. He's in the meetings. It's been John, Steve, and his brother. So yeah, I do think he has at least a slight influence, whether or not John wants to admit it or not. But I just look at Chris Mara at this point as just like an extension of John. He's an owner. That's the way I look at it. And we're not getting rid of him. He's going to be here. and we just got to hope that they make the wholesale changes around them, and they bring in the right staff, and they bring in the right GM, they bring in the right scouts, and so on and so forth. But I don't think they're firing Chris Mara anytime soon. Arthur says Andrew Thomas and a couple of healthy linemen coming back, draft one, trade one. Wait. Andrew Thomas and a couple of healthy linemen coming back, draft one, trade for one, and you never know how quickly you could get positive results. I just want to draft two.
Yeah, same here.
I just want to draft two. I mean, what are we going to trade for one? You know, when you're trading for an offensive lineman, you're trading for a proven product. Offensive lineman, they're gonna cost a lot. You're gonna trade away draft capital. I'd rather just draft one and get one on a rookie salary, bring one in here. It's not like we have any attractive players for the most part that we could trade there to bring these guys in. All of our attractive players outside of the guys that you don't want to trade that are on rookie contracts are making a lot of money. So rather than trade draft capital, just draft one, bring one in on a rookie salary and build them up from the ground up, man. I'd rather just draft two.
Yeah, I like Ojulari, but to me, I mean, the mistake was you traded back in the second round, and you still could have got Creed Humphrey. you could have got Creed Humphreys there, and we all know how good he is. Well, I've been touting that guy for a long time. I love Creed Humphreys, man. That guy's
and Linderbaum's pretty damn good too.
Hey, listen, I've been talking about him since the beginning of the year. So
get that guy in.
Like I said, I guess for me, my favorite offensive line, I guess that's my favorite position is the center. I don't know.
Yeah.
Like, I want
get that guy in here, man. I retweeted a video today. I don't know if you saw it, of Tyler Linderbaum. Well, he was a senior in he was a sophomore in high school. Was going up against Tristan Wirfs in wrestling. They were both all state wrestlers for the state of Iowa. He took Tristan Wirfs, 2 years younger than him. He threw him to the ground like a bitch. I'm telling you right now, that guy gets me jacked up. When I watch the highlights on the football field, you could tell that guy genuinely loves playing football.
Dude, he's the best lineman in the country.
He's a
at any position.
I love that guy.
So, yeah. Listen, that may be drafting him 5th or 7th overall. Maybe people go, why are you taking a center that early? You don't take a center that early. If he's the best lineman, why not? There's five linemen, and people are like, oh, you can't take Quentin Nelson too. You can't take Quentin Nelson too. And then we didn't take him. Now it was like, why the hell didn't we take Quentin Nelson? Why the hell didn't we take Quentin Nelson? So yes, if he's the best lineman in the draft, you're going to need a good center anyway.
Yeah,
centers help. Especially when you have them pulling out on screens and, counter plays. You want guys that are athletic, that can move. This is one of the reasons we can't run a screen to save our life. We have no lineman that can pull and get out to the second level. That guy can do everything. And then people want to talk about his size. He's a little undersized. He can gain size.
He's a monster.
Gaining size is much easier than gaining technique.
I'm a fan. I'm sold on him.
I've been a fan for a while on Linderbaum. For sure.
Adam says AFC, NFC predictions and Super Bowl teams will be. Well, if you're asking for the AFC and NFC predictions, I think you're just asking for the 2 Super Bowl teams, right? I'm going to go with the Chiefs out of the AFC. I think they're far and away the favorite right now. And when I look around the AFC right now, I don't think the Patriots could go to a Super Bowl with a rookie quarterback. I'm trying to think of a team that I even think could beat them. I don't think Cincinnati's going to do it. Burrow's never been there before. I think the Chiefs are far and away the favorite in the AFC. The NFC, to me, I mean, I know a lot of people are still going to pick Brady. I'm not going to do that this year. I think the Bucs are going. I know they won their last game. They look good. They look sluggish against the Jets, and I'm never going to count out Brady. They definitely could go back to the Super Bowl. Wouldn't shock me at all. But I'm going to go with the Packers. I think I'm going to go chalk. I think I'm going to go Chiefs and Packers. I think if you ask me today, my preseason pick was the Rams. But I think I'm going to go with the Packers. I think I'm going to go with the Packers and the Chiefs.
I don't know. I think the Bills could get there.
Really?
Yeah, I like the Bills, but they've had a kind of an offseason. Josh Allen certainly hasn't had the year this year that he had last year. They do have some experience, though. I mean, they did make it pretty good. I like Cincinnati. I think Cincinnati could surprise a lot of teams.
I think they could win a game or 2 in the playoffs.
They should be able to beat Vegas.
Yeah.
But I think the lack of experience will hurt them. Like I think it hurt the Bills last year against Kansas City. The Chiefs are probably
the Titans when they get Henry back. Do you give them a chance?
I don't think they can score enough to beat Kansas City. I just feel like Kansas City can always, there's just so much they can do. And Andy Reid is a genius. And that guy's one of the best coaches ever. And I've said this a million times too. That is one aspect that gets completely overlooked in the playoffs, man. Your coach, your head coach has a lot to do with the success you do, which is why I never count out the Patriots until they're out. Because Belichick, to me, is the best of all time at game planning for his opponent. Andy Reid is another really good one. I just don't think the Patriots have the horses to get there.
I agree. I think the Patriots may upset the Bills.
They could. They very well could.
They
beat them with Mac Jones throwing 3 times this year. So why not?
You talk about a game plan, and the Bills right now, for the most part, have a pretty one-dimensional offense. They're not great at running the ball. You give Belichick a playoff game, the game plan against them, and Belichick has not shown Buffalo all the tricks this year. He's smart enough to know not to do that until playoff time. I think that's going to be an interesting game. I think the Patriots got a shot to knock off the Bills.
In the NFC, I think I just got to go. I got to go with my guy Brady. I can't
blame you.
I can't bet against Brady. I would like to go Rams, but I don't trust Matt Stafford. Matt Stafford to me is not clutch. I mean, look at the game against San Francisco. Not clutch. He's not clutch. Never been a clutch quarterback. Good statistical quarterback. Never won a playoff game. Now I do think they'll win a playoff game. I don't think they're going to be able to.
You think they'll knock off the Cardinals? They're playing the Cardinals.
I think that they can beat the Cardinals, yes.
Yeah.
I don't think – it wouldn't surprise me if they lost to the Cardinals either. But I don't think they're good enough to beat Tampa Bay or Green Bay. I don't think they're good enough to go into Green Bay and win in Lambeau.
So you see a rematch of last year in the title game. You see the Packers and the Bucks.
I definitely see that happening again.
Yeah. All right, that'd be fun. Brady and Rodgers going at it again. That'd be fun.
Yeah.
L.A. Lou, man, thank you very much, man. Do you think Joe Schoen is the front runner for the GM job? And how would that bode for Daniel Jones? Yeah, I do. I mean, listen, I don't know. To be honest with you, I don't know the front runners. I think he's among the front runners. I think it's in the end, I think it's going to be one of 4 guys. I think it's either going to be Joe Schoen. I think it's going to be Adam Peters. I think it's going to be Ryan Poles. He's kind of like my dark horse candidate. Or Joe Ortiz of the Baltimore Ravens. I think those are the 4 most likely candidates. I think Peters and Schoen are probably the 2 favorites. I'm slightly leaning Peters, but it could go either way, and we don't even know if these guys are going to want to take the job. Let's see if even if the Giants want them, they still have to accept the job and want the job. They're interviewing for other jobs as well, so let's see. So it's very hard for me to say who's going to get it. In terms of if that's good for Daniel Jones, I mean, the GM really doesn't have much to do with Jones. It's more so that the head coach and offensive coordinator that they're going to bring in, unless you're talking about would they stick with Daniel Jones if they hired Joe Schoen. I have no idea. I mean, that's up to Joe Schoen and how he evaluates the quarterbacks in this year's draft class. That's what it would come down to with that. But in terms of the favorite right now, I'd probably say Peters or Schoen.
So Gettleman's gone, right?
Right.
Does Odell Beckham end up back with the Giants before his career is over?
I mean, anything's possible, but if I'm Odell, at least next year, I have no interest coming back to the Giants. I'm on a team right now.
I'm not saying next year.
Yeah, I mean,
he's not a free agent next year. He's a free agent the year after.
It's possible. I mean, it's certainly possible. Yeah, I wouldn't rule it out. I don't know. How would I know? But
listen,
I think a lot of it was
fan favorite.
Go ahead.
He loved playing here. I said when they traded him, I had a feeling he was going to end up back here. I still feel like that guy's going to end up a Giant before his career's over. I just feel like that's going to happen. Not that he's going to be the player he was when he started here, but for some reason, I can see him ending up back here. I don't know why. I can see it happen.
Wouldn't shock me. Wouldn't shock me. I think we'd have to improve our offense for him to want.
Yeah. Oh God. Yeah. So that's obviously a big part of it, but they'll have cap space when he's a free agent. He's not going to get 18 million, 19 million a year. He might get 8 million a year.
Yeah. Anything's possible.
Maybe interesting. I know a lot of fans love Odell Beckham, so
yeah. Tudo says Ernie Accorsi did the New York Giants the biggest favor to build the championship team foundation by bringing in all good coaches and players to win Super Bowls. Yeah, I mean, Accorsi, we say it all the time. Accorsi should get the majority of the credit, at least for the first Super Bowl.
7, yes. I'll give Reese credit for the second one, but the first one was Accorsi's team.
Yeah, it was Accorsi's team, and he was definitely partially responsible for the second one as well, but Reese had a lot to do with that. Antrell Roll, Victor Cruz, Akeem Nicks, Jason Pierre-Paul.
Ahmad Bradshaw.
Matt Bradshaw. He brought in some big pieces for that team.
Yep.
But the first one, almost exclusively Ernie Accorsi.
Yeah.
Ray, man, thank you very much, man. I watched Mara's presser, and he at least sounded like he's willing to change. A congrats to Kirby and the Bulldogs. Yeah, big Alabama fan. Ray, man, thank you so much, buddy, man. I really appreciate it. And yeah, I mean, that's all we can ask for as Giants. I mean, we want to win, but change your ways. I think he's learned, at least seems like he's learned from his errors. And yeah, I think he did everything that you could ask as a Giants fan. He went out there, admitted his mistakes, he showed humility, and he seems like he's trying to do right by the fans.
Yeah. As far as your tide goes there, Ray, I mean, you had to lose eventually. I think Georgia was going to get you eventually. I think Alabama had beaten them like 7 straight times or something crazy like that, 6 straight. They were going to get you eventually. And this Georgia team was really, really good. I don't know what happened to the SEC championship game, but Ray, you can take a year off. I think Bama's won 6 out of the last 12 years. You know, you can spread the wealth a little bit. That was a good game, though. That was a good game.
That was a great game. That was a great game. Pencilman says, guys, your chats are the best. You tell it like it is, and it's a great place to get information for a displaced upstate veteran. Well, thank you for your service, and thank you so much for the kind words, man. Always just try to have fun with you guys, talk about the team that we love, and always love doing these shows with you guys. So thank you so much.
Absolutely. Always a thank you to the servicemen and women of this country that allow us to have shows like this. So you guys and girls are real heroes. We just make videos, but you guys and girls, man, you're everything to us. We appreciate your service. And I also live in upstate. I don't know where you are from upstate, because upstate's a lot of territory, but I also live in upstate New York. So shout out to 518. I know we got a lot of 518s in the chat. We found that out on Sunday.
Yeah, we did. Isaiah, man, thank you very much. He says, what's up, brothers? Excited about the change. Not expecting 12 wins, but the Eagles made the playoffs in Sirianni's first year. They did. Anything's possible. The Eagles also had a pretty good offensive line. They just had a ton of injuries the year before, but anything's possible. The Eagles also played a cupcake schedule. We're playing a softer schedule next year because we finished in last. I'm not going to go in with playoff expectations. If it happens, great.
It's still not easy. You look at the teams you got to play.
Yeah. If it happens, great. I'm not going to go in there with those expectations. I'm going to go in with no expectations, to be honest with you. Not to say that I think we're not going to win a game, but I'm not going to set the bar too high. I know it's a new regime. I know we're starting over, and I'm not going to turn the furnace too high. I got to give these guys an opportunity.
Yeah, the first year that Joe Judge took over, Chris and I both picked him to go 6-10.
Yeah.
This year we expected him to be better, and it failed.
Yeah. We'll see. NY Giants 26 says, Aaron Wilson said it. I do not want McDaniels. Yeah, I don't want McDaniels at all.
No, hell no.
I don't want McDaniels.
He's more of a psycho than Joe Judge.
Yeah, I don't want him at all. Oh, dude, I didn't mean to miss your chat, Sports Burner, man. Maybe I missed your members chat because I'm looking here. I apologize. Says you missed my chat earlier, but how are you fellas doing? The joke of the joke of a head coach is gone. Give me Linderbaum and Dean round 1 and offensive line rest of the way. So he wants the linebacker and he wants the interior offensive lineman.
I didn't get on board with that one.
Yeah. We'll see, man. We'll see what happens. We still got 4 months.
Listen, I'm not going to be happy with a quarterback in that top 10. It's not. If they went to Kobe Dean and lineman, I'd be ecstatic. If Thibodeau or Hutchinson dropped to them and they got him in the lineman, I'd be ecstatic. If they get 2 offensive linemen, I'll be ecstatic. I do not want a quarterback in the top 10. I don't want no wide receiver. They're not going to do that. I don't want Stingley in it. We need the trenches bad. Bad.
Peyton Manning with Wheels says we should extend Daniel Jones and hire Kevin Abrams. I would say no to both. So
I think if that happened, you need to go run them both over with your wheels.
I know he's being very sarcastic with that.
Yes.
Yeah, I would disagree on both of those. Jeff says, who would you guys like to be the new GM and head coach? Yeah, I mean, Baddog, what's your preference?
The 2 guys in the Bills.
Shane and Dabble?
Yep, because I see what not that Daniel Jones is Josh Allen. But I look at the way they turned that team around offensively pretty quick with the moves that they made, and they're very balanced, and they did. I like the way they turned, because Buffalo was not a good team for a long time. And
Missed the
they
playoffs
saw
for
something in
17
Josh
straight years.
Allen. What's that?
17 straight years they missed the playoffs, Buffalo.
Yeah, and now they're one of the best teams in the AFC. So I like that combination. Of course, I know more about them than anybody else. So that's another thing that plays into a part of it. But watching the way they were able to change that fast and make them into a powerhouse and take over the AFC East to be able to take the reins from Belichick, which nobody been able to do forever. I like what they did in Buffalo. So those are probably that'd probably be my first tandem.
Yeah, I get on board with that. Alien says, I only want a head coach who has prior experience in head coaching and has had success. No more coordinators who's never been a head coach before. Well, if that's what you want, Alien, Doug Peterson. I mean, he's a former Super Bowl winning head coach. He's out there.
Harbaugh.
But I don't think that's going to happen because I don't think these GMs we're going to hire are going to want to work with Harbaugh. Jim Caldwell had some moderate success. I think he won 9 games with the Lions, was a part-time coach with the Colts.
Hugh Jackson out there.
I mean, Marvin Lewis, he had some success with the Bengals. So I don't know. I don't know who your preference would be.
I don't think we're going to get that, though. I don't think we're going to take a retread.
Yeah. Calvin, man, thank you very much, man. Cards fan here. Just want to say props to Mara. Other than coaching, the Giants have been crushed with injuries this last year. Thoughts and reasons why? I mean, I get asked this question all the time.
Training staff's bad.
So I think that's – I don't think there's one reason. I think it's partially bad luck, maybe the training staff, the field, the turf.
Maybe they don't want to play.
Who knows?
You never know.
Yeah.
Maybe there's guys that can fight through these injuries and they're like, screw this. We're 4-11. Why am I going to risk my career? You know, people said that about Galladay last year. But listen, they're human, right? I think that if you're able to play, you should play. But honestly, if you're 4-10 and Mike Glennon's your quarterback and you're Kadarius Toney and you're a rookie and you're saying, do I really want to go out there and tweak this worse and really hurt my career? Or do I want to say, there's no reason for me to try to play through this injury? You never know if the Giants are fighting for a playoff spot. Maybe those guys gear up and say, I'm good to go. Put me in there.
Yeah.
You really don't know. You do not know. I'm not saying they all did that, but
no, definitely
it's a possibility that Daniel Jones should not have been playing. Okay, that's a fact. Yeah. But you don't know what these other guys. And obviously Sterling Shepard suffered that's a serious injury. You're not playing on a torn Achilles.
Barkley was a serious injury. It was a
last year.
Well, this year too.
What's that?
This year too with the grapefruit.
Oh, the ankle. Yeah, he couldn't play. But I'm saying like Evan Ingram, he missed a couple of games, and who knows? Think about they spend all that money on Kyle Rudolph. They never throw him the ball. That's the other thing. They spend all these money on these free agents, and they never look to get him involved in a game plan. Yeah. Kenny Galladay, you can't tell me that Galladay didn't have a lot of he's never open. Galladay's strength is fighting for the 50-50 ball. He's not a guy that got separation. That's not he's not blowing anybody away with his speed. He was a guy that went up and fought for the ball. They never threw him the ball.
Never got an opportunity. Yeah, no, I agree with that. He didn't get near enough targets at all. That's for damn sure.
I bet you that changes next year.
It better.
Well, Joe Judge ain't there. I bet you that changes next year.
Pimp named Slickback says, don't care about Joe Judge. The guy's a narcissist from the laps to the tennis balls to the rants. Dude thinks this is a Pop Warner league. Hey, can't disagree with you at this point. In the end,
we don't have to worry about him no more. He gone.
Yeah, I mean, his methods looked elementary in the end, and it didn't work. No, Jeff says, I can see this roster being purged this offseason. I don't think it'll be fully purged because I just don't think anybody's going to take these high-salary players on this team. But I think they'll look to get rid of as many players as they can that they don't think will be part of the long-term future of this football team. I'll say that.
Yeah, they'll turn over what they can. Because these guys have no allegiance to anybody on this team. This is a completely fresh GM and coaching staff. They had nothing to do with any one of these players that's on this team. So they could easily come in and go, I don't like Bradbury. I don't like Martinez. I don't like Daniel Jones. I don't like Saquon Barkley. I don't like this guy. I don't like that guy. Let's move him. Let's let him walk. Let's bring this guy in here. It's going to be interesting. I don't think anybody's safe. Outside, you're not going to be able to move Galladay's contract and stuff like that. But I don't think Jones is safe. I don't think Barkley is safe. I mean, I still think Barkley will be here because he doesn't get paid anything. But Jones might not be. Martinez certainly not. Bradbury's certainly not. Peppers, he's gone. Ingram's
there's a lot of
gone.
that are not safe. That's for damn
Rudolph could be gone.
Rudolph, I think, will be gone.
Solder's going to be gone. He's gone. His contract's up. So
yeah, I think Jimenez will be gone. They
should be. Lorenzo Card will be interesting. He did play very well the last month. If Chris mentions this, if we can get him cheap, maybe bring him back. We don't have a lot of cap space, so there probably will be some moves in order to obtain some. Because picking 5th and 7th, those guys are going to get paid. So you got to find a way to pay them.
For sure. Yeah. And Peyton Manning with Wheels, thank you very much. She says, all jokes aside, Daniel Jones' injury is worse than they're telling people. He's now not cleared for contact until August. I'd like a lot more clarity. Yeah, I heard that. I didn't get a chance to read it, but a couple people told me August as well. I don't know if that's definitive or, again, I didn't read it, but I did hear that maybe people are at least saying that it could be until August, or maybe it is definitively until August. Either, if that is true, that is not good. But at the same time, Bad Dog, I mean, you usually don't have contact, right? As a quarterback until August.
Yeah, they said he can still work out and he can still throw and but he can't have contact. And even in training camp, you can't hit the quarterback.
You wear the red jersey.
Right, wear the red jersey, right. So
yeah, so I mean, I'm not saying that should be glossed over. The fact that the doctors are saying he can't have contact till August is still not good.
Neck is a serious. It made David Wilson retire, so it is a serious, because then you're dealing with their life, man. You don't want the guy to be hurt and spend his life in a wheelchair or any of that stuff. So you don't want to mess with that. The neck is a serious.
They better be 100% before they put him on the field.
Absolutely.
Tudo says easy to fix the Giants cap to rebuild an entire team, but some lucrative contracts on high-paid junk players make them MIA. Forget about it. It's going to take a year. 2023 it'll be cleaned up if they do this the right way.
The biggest problem with that too, though, is you still have salary caps or the cap hit, the dead cap, and some of the contracts just you can't trade them because you still have to pay that dead cap, and some of the dead cap is a lot. So you're really looking at guys that when you do release them, the dead cap's not much, and they're able to obtain money. So like Galladay's dead cap is you can't move him.
Can't move Galladay, can't move Adoree Jackson, can't move Leonard Williams
because of the dead cap.
Those three you're not moving.
Yep.
Can't move Logan Ryan. Can't move those guys.
I wish they could move Logan Ryan. That was a really stupid. You could have kept Kevin Zeitler here
or kept Dalvin Tomlinson.
Right.
Either one of them.
You really, instead of giving Logan Ryan $10 million, you should have just kept Zeitler. That would have been the best thing.
They could have not signed Rudolph and not signed
Ryan,
and they could have kept both Zeitler and Dalvin Tomlinson.
Yeah, just tells you how bad the front office was. Gettleman didn't know what the hell he was doing.
Yeah. Save Fact says, I believe Jones, but if he's out, bring in Mariota. He's a good locker room guy, and we could go 8-9 or 9-8. Love the stream. Cheers. Save, man. Thank you very much. Perhaps, I mean, Mariota's the type of guy that maybe could have a resurgence in his career, similar to a guy like Tannehill. If he gets put in the right spot, the Giants are not the right spot.
Right.
And that's the other thing. If you're Mariota, knowing that, would you want to sign with the Giants?
I guess you have a chance to be the starter.
Yeah.
You probably would.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, if Jones was out, yeah.
Yeah. If you have a chance to be a starter in the NFL, I'm sure there's a lot of, even if the Giants are bad, I'm sure that they'll be like, yes, I want the chance to start.
He'll take a shot to try to prove himself. Yeah.
Felipe Glennon ain't going to be bad. We ain't going to worry about him anymore.
Oh, that's for damn sure. Felipe, man, thank you very much for the $2 donation. And Peter Piper says you guys are the best on here regardless of GM and coach. Which offensive coordinator would help? Oh, I think I already got this one. Seems like West Coast would work the best. Yeah, that's what I said earlier when somebody asked me that. Maybe this wasn't asked already, but that's what I said earlier. The exact coordinator I can't give you. I don't even know who the head coach is going to be yet. I don't even, and at this point, you're not even talking about lateral moves. You're not talking about current offensive coordinators in the NFL. If you're bringing in an outsider, it's probably more of a quarterback coach or, usually a guy that's an offensive coordinator somewhere else is not going to take another offensive coordinator job. So I'll wait till I see the head coach and what the plan is going to be before I could really answer that. But yeah, like I said earlier, if they hire Dable, he's going to be the offensive coordinator. So let's see who the head coach is going to be first. But I agree with you on the West Coast style for sure.
Yep.
True Rapper says, scenario, you're on the board at 7, having just drafted Neal. Texans call you asking for number 7 plus future first plus 2 seconds and Saquon for Watson. All right, so they want the 7. So they want 3 firsts. No, 2 firsts. 2 firsts, 2 seconds. Done. Yes. For
The
Deshaun
move is Deshaun Watson's our quarterback in 2020.
Yeah. Yes.
In a heartbeat.
But
in a heartbeat.
What I'll tell you in reality, that will not happen.
No.
We're not
in a heartbeat, though.
Yeah, we're not getting Deshaun Watson. So don't get your hopes up. But that hypothetical trade, I'm only giving up 2 first-round picks for Deshaun Watson.
Yeah, you're giving up number 7, and you don't know what next year's going to be. Next year could be later in the draft. So
the guy's a top 5 to 7 quarterback, and he's
I'm taking him.
Old. You take him. Deontay, man, thank you very much, man. Stand up, new member. Welcome to the squad, man. Tudo says, I'm known as Smiling Assassin because I always look happy and hyped before any games, despite any opposition. And coach asks me, why the F am I smiling? I always tell him, just watch me. Tudo's a lunatic, man.
Yeah, Tudo needs to be on the Giants. Say it all the time.
Says, name of the O-line, the blue wall of the tri-state. Not bad. We got to come up with that before the year starts.
Right now would be the leaky dam of the tri-state or the Swiss cheese.
Swiss cheese.
The sieve of the tri-state because it's got a lot of holes.
Swiss cheese is pretty appropriate. Blake and Dante, I see Deontay says, love this channel. Love you, man. Thank you so much for being here, buddy. Blake Dyer says, betting phase for Giants head coach are Dable and Peterson. I just don't see Doug getting that job. Yeah, I don't know why he's the favorite, but I guess Vegas thinks he's the favorite.
I don't know how they could think he's the favorite when we don't have a GM yet.
I just think it's throwing darts at a board right now, and you don't know who the hell.
Didn't we just get a damn guy from Philadelphia? Do we really want another one?
I don't want him. I don't want Doug Peterson.
Get a New York guy in here. Get the guys from Buffalo or New York. Let's go.
They're
the one team that does play in New York.
Lou says, listen, guys, the firing of Judge and Dave Gettleman automatically makes us contenders next year. I'm not going to say that.
I don't know. Our roster is still pretty weak.
Yeah. I'm not. I mean, maybe if everything breaks right, you never know. But I'm not going to go into next year expecting that. And license plate guy was tight about the firing of Judge. Well, I mean, I don't know if he was tight. Everybody has their disagreements. I disagree with him. Maybe he was tight about the way it was handled and the way he was treated. I don't know. But that's his opinion. I think it was the right decision. And normally I'm a guy that is not for, jumping in with the mob and being overreactionary. I think they had to do it.
Yeah. I think it's like Chris said, if they brought in a new GM with Judge, I could understand going for a third year. But you don't want to hamper a new GM, and you're gonna have less candidates if you're telling them you're forced to take this guy. You don't want to have the alternation with head coaches and new GMs. And you had to start over. I just think it was the right move for the Giants.
They had to. Blake says, I would expect Flores to be in Houston with Caserio. Yeah, I think I said that earlier. If he's going to go anywhere, I think that makes the most sense. Not to mention they have Watson. There's been rumors that Watson likes Flores. So I think it makes sense. I think Jordan Renan said today that his guess is Judge ends up in Houston, and that also makes sense because if Flores were to get the job, he's worked with Judge before with New England, Caserio, the connection there. So I could see that happening for sure. I definitely could see Flores, and that would make sense why they would have fired a head coach after just 1 year because maybe they're trying to go out of their way to try to keep Deshaun Watson. So we'll see. I definitely could. I would if I knew Flores was going to get a job, I think that would be the most likely landing spot. Avery, man, thank you very much, man. He says, I won $2,800 this last Sunday on the NFL. You guys are great. Wow, man, that's freaking awesome. Congratulations on that. And maybe we can have hope for the first time since they fired Coughlin. Get 2 offensive linemen within the first 5 picks, well meeting value with need with others.
Hopefully.
Yeah.
I agree with that.
I'm in complete agreement with you on that. Me personally, my draft philosophy after the first round, though, like I always say, I just want BPA. Like in the second round and on, maybe because it's an early second round pick, try to match value and need in the second round. Once you get in the third round, Just take the best player, because a lot of times those guys aren't going to have immediate impact on your team anyway. Not to mention we have so many holes on this team to begin with. Just take the best player you possibly can on your board that makes sense for your roster.
Yeah.
That's my mindset as the draft player.
Agreed.
And Irish says, hey, guys, I agree with Kevin. This is the year of the O-line. Well, you agree with me too then. It's crazy to look at using our draft capital on a quarterback. 2023 will be a much better quarterback class. However, we now have hope. When we had lost hope last week, go Giants.
Yeah. I did a complete 180 between Monday and Tuesday. I really was at my rock bottom with the Giants when I made that video. I really was. Again, I would have watched the games, but for the first time, I questioned myself ever that I'm like, if Joe Judge is back here, am I really going to be able to make it through an entire season without just saying, I can't watch this anymore? This got so bad at the end of the year that I'm like, I can't believe they're going to, because I'm thinking it's going to hamper the GM surge and it's going to do this. And then when they said they fired, I'm like, they did it the right way. Now they got to get the right people, but it's a start.
Yeah, they had to do it. Sean, man, thank you very much, man. Who is your favorite offensive lineman in this draft? Neal moves so quick for his size, and Linderbaum is such a technician, but Ekwonu is a nasty blocker. Yeah, I've talked about him too. I'm a huge fan of his out of NC State. He's probably my favorite to watch at the tackle position. I would definitely value the tackle over the center with our first pick. But Linderbaum is probably the best at his position in this draft class. I'll say that. He's like, I don't think there's anybody close to him in terms of the interior offensive lineman.
I'll tell you what, let's get 2 of those 3 and we'll be happy. But Linderbaum is my favorite. He's been my favorite since the beginning of the year. But let's get 2 of those 3. I mean, we can get 2 of those 3 guys. So hopefully we get 2 of those 3 guys. That'd be awesome.
That'd be great. Abe says, dog, I like Creed, but at the time we had Gates, and he was our best lineman at the time.
But Gates is a guard. Gates is out of position at center. He played well there, but he was out of position. He was more suited to be right guard. And especially when you let Zeitler walk, this should have allowed Gates to go back to right guard while you brought in a center. So you could have moved back to his natural position. You could have replaced Zeitler. And that was an even bigger reason after we let Zeitler walk that I wanted Creed Humphreys was for that. But
yeah, he's even capable of playing tackle too. Gates.
Yeah.
He's
so that's kind of why I was, and listen, Chris will tell you, since we started the show, I touted Creed Humphreys since he was a freshman at Oklahoma. He was the best center in the country as a freshman. I love that kid since his freshman season. So I was just a big fan of him, and I felt like he was going to be like, he's just a nasty, big, country strong dude, like one of them dudes that just throws the bales of hay in his shoulders and just walks around, picks up a cow and moves it to a different field. Like that's just Creed Humphrey. Naturally strong, nasty, just beast.
Yeah.
Just moves mountains, that guy.
My kind of player, man.
Kind
of Yuri says, comeback player of the year, Burrow or Prescott? In my opinion, Burrow overcame a lot. Prescott had a cakewalk. I mean, you give it to either one. Obviously, Prescott had a really serious injury last year, too. You give it to either one. I mean, I'd probably lean Burrow just because I think he's been better than Dak this year, but either one. They both came back strong from their injuries the previous year.
Yeah, I got to go Joe Burrow.
Yeah.
Joe Burrow got the Bengals won that division for the first time in how long?
Yeah, I would go Burrow. But if they gave it to Dak, I can't complain. But I would go Burrow.
And, of course, I'm biased. I hate the Cowboys, so I want to give it to Joe Burrow.
Yeah. I mean, I think Joe Burrow should be in the top 5 for MVP. I mean, Joe Burrow's been that good this year. Maybe even top 3.
He's going to get some MVP votes, I'm sure.
Yeah, he's been that good. I think he threw 26 touchdowns in his last 6 games and no picks. Like, he really turned on the
Brady Rodgers is going to win that thing. But
Rodgers has to win it. I mean, the guy threw 2 picks since week 1. J-Matt, thank you very much, man. He says, I don't think I can mentally handle not taking Tyler Linderbaum and Ekwonu with the first 2 picks if available. I mean, give me a reason why not to draft heavy O-line. Well, I'll give you the reason that fans would say. The people that don't want to take 2 offensive linemen with the first 2 picks either A, want a quarterback, but I think the majority, they will go with the argument of positional value. They'll say you have to go with an edge, you have to go with a defensive player, and you can still get value at the interior offensive line position in the second round. That's what their argument would be. You are not going to see me blink an eye if they do what you just said. I think it's imperative that we fix this line. Like Baddog has said throughout this entire stream, that is one of the strengths of this year's draft class. If you get 2 top-tier offensive linemen, do it.
I'm not giving you a reason. I wanted to do the same thing.
Yeah. And C. Ginzo says, if Hutchinson, Thibodeau, and Neal are gone by pick 5, which they probably will be, would you trade back and then take Linderbaum at 7? I mean, if there's a trade there, you know what I'm saying? If there's a trade there, we could say we would trade back, but there's got to be a trade there. We talk about how we don't want to take a quarterback because we think it's a weak quarterback draft class. Well, what if all the teams around the league think that? They say, well, we don't want to trade up. Why are we going to trade up to 5 when we could still get a guy that is okay at 14?
Right.
So if there is a trade that is there that makes sense, sure. Otherwise, you take the best player on your board. Period in the story. You can't force a trade if it's not there. Alex, what's going on, man? Stand up, new member. Welcome to the squad, man. Appreciate it, buddy. And let's see. Darian says Stafford not being clutch is your worst take ever.
Tell me when he's been clutch. Tell me what Stafford's won.
I mean, I know he's never won a playoff game.
Never won a playoff game.
I'll be the first to say I don't watch every Detroit Lions game. So I can't speak. I know he's never won a playoff game. I know he has been given bad rosters with Detroit. I'll say that. I mean, he did have Calvin Johnson early in his career, but they had no running game. They had no defense. So I don't know how
winning games and being clutch, 2 different things.
Yeah.
2 different things. Eli Manning, clutch.
Eli Manning's clutch as they come.
Peyton Manning, not very clutch. Wasn't.
No, he was the opposite of clutch.
So you can be a great quarterback and not have a clutch gene. I have never seen Matt Stafford win a playoff game. They've been in playoff games. And I watched the game with the Rams and the Niners. He didn't bring that team down and win that game. He didn't bring that team down. He threw an interception. He's not clutch.
We'll find out in the playoffs.
I guess that's a Rams fan because I don't know how anybody could say that's my. I've had some bad. I said Daniel Jones would be better than Dak Prescott. That's a bad take. But to say that my worst take is Stafford is not clutch, you don't watch me.
Well, that's a compliment if that's your worst take.
I guess so. I guess so. I'm not that good. I'm not that good for that to be my worst take. I'm going to tell you that right now.
Tudo says, since I become the captain of RD about 4 months ago, the culture of our locker rooms changed 180. Now we've all band together as brothers and off the field with a common goal to win every game. Tudo, we got to make you the captain of the Giants, man.
Maybe we got to make Tudo a linebackers coach of the Giants.
That might help. Musab says, any news on Nick Gates? No, nothing new. Just the fact that he's had 7 leg surgeries, but hopefully it's something, we'll hear about before, the start of training camp. But yeah, I haven't heard anything outside of that. And hopefully it's not career ending, but it could be. We don't know, The Sports Burner says Shane for GM, Dable for head coach. Make it happen, Mara. I think a lot of Giants fans would be happy about that. We'll see. I think that's probably the favorite right now, or one of the favorites going in. DM says Judge may have a future as an actor playing a coach. It's going to be Al Pacino from Any Given Sunday. Maybe that's what it'll be, because that's what it felt like here, right? He looked like he was acting, trying to be Bill Belichick. Leon Trey says, bring in Ryan Poles and Byron Leftwich, 2 African-Americans to turn this ship in. They win. That will be big for the New York Giants in the worldwide, and we get a pick for it. I could care less if they're African-American, if they're white, if they're Asian, if they're Spanish. I don't care what the hell they are. Win. I don't care what color the guy is. Means nothing to me. But as far as that goes, I'd be for Poles. I've actually said, Leon Trey, that Ryan Poles is one of my sleeper GM candidates. I like him, especially because of his offensive line background. He's 36 years old. I think he was the left tackle. He was a tackle for Matt Ryan in college, and he's been with the Chiefs for 12 or 13 years. Obviously, has at least something to do with the building of that football team, and he's the right-hand man to the current GM from everything I've read, and they turned that offensive line around in 1 year, and he has to have something to do with that. So he's a dark horse candidate for me. I would say, most people are saying the top 2 guys that I've said all night, that being Shane and that being Peters, he would be in that next tier for me in terms of the most likely guys that could get this job. So I got my eye on him, and apparently he interviewed well last year. I think he got a second interview. So he's been impressive before. I wouldn't be shocked if he got the job. I don't think he's the favorite, but I wouldn't be shocked if he got the job.
Yeah, Byron Leftwich is a hot name, but if you're going to bring in Poles, why not Bieniemy?
Bieniemy at that point.
Why not Eric Bieniemy? Because that's another guy that I really like. And I think that if Poles won the job, I think that Bieniemy would be a very strong head coaching candidate for the Giants. I think that's where they would go. But we'll see. It's going to be interesting.
Yeah, and I agree with you. If they brought in Poles, I think Bieniemy would be much more likely than Leftwich. Leftwich, I think, if I had to guess, I think the Jaguars make sense because he played
there. So.
And they got Trevor Lawrence. They got cap space. They got a top. I think they have the top pick, right? So I could see that being the destination where he lands. Asia, thank you so much for the super sticker. Mwah. There you go, Asia. Thank you very much. Lamar says, I'm thinking Poles for GM. Somebody just said it. Bieniemy for head coach and an offensive coordinator. And how would you guys feel about possibly bringing in a quarterback like Matt Ryan? Matt Ryan is, how old is Matt Ryan now? I mean, Matt Ryan's like 30.
Matt Ryan just doesn't make sense because we're not ready to win now. Like Matt Ryan is a team that's like a quarterback away. We have so many other things that we have to work on. I would just rather have a young quarterback if they were going to do that. I'd rather just keep Daniel Jones here. Daniel Jones can be our stopgap guy. Matt Ryan's not the future of the Giants, so Matt
Ryan's gonna be 37.
It's like Russell Wilson. And Russell Wilson's younger, and Russell Wilson just doesn't make a lot of sense because of the shape that this franchise is in right now. I just can't see bringing in a veteran quarterback to a team that's won 10 games the last 2 years. It'd be difficult for them to win here, and they get paid a lot of money. We don't have a lot of cap space, so I don't know. Listen, man, I know a lot of people don't like Daniel Jones, and I don't think Daniel Jones is the future. But to me, I just feel like they should just deal with him this year. We don't have any cap space, and then start with the quarterback when Daniel Jones's contract is up. That's just the way I'm looking at it. That may not happen, but yeah, Matt Ryan to me, I can't see that really helping us.
It doesn't to me
move forward. Like because when you're in this situation, you're 4-13, you just fired your GM, you just fired your head coach. Obviously, your team is in shambles. You really need to start building for the future. And Matt Ryan wouldn't be part of the future for the Giants.
No, he's the same age Eli was when we said we needed to draft a quarterback.
Right.
Eli was 37. So I don't. Todd, man, thank you very much, man, for the $1 donation. I appreciate it. And then he said, Baddog is the most modest person on YouTube. If I had arms like you, I'd wear a tank top and flex the entire stream. Mad props.
I don't know, man. Listen, I said I'm older. I got a 4-year-old. I gotta keep my ass in shape. And I love it. I love to work out. It's a hobby of mine. I've done it for years, and it certainly doesn't hurt to, if I'm swimming or I'm on the beach or something and I have my shirt off, it doesn't hurt to be like, see someone half my age looking and go, yeah, that's right. And then my wife gets pissed off. She says, what is she looking at? She's probably looking at you. I don't know. Whatever. I like staying. I like working out. And like I said, I got a 4-year-old, man. So when my kid is 14, I'm going to be 55. Yeah.
Got to be in shape.
When my kid is 16, 17, I want him to still have to keep up with me. I don't want to be keeping up with him. So when he graduates, he'll be almost 60, which is insane. So
TJ Steesnat says O-line should be called Easy Pass. I've heard that. I've heard Turnstile. Those are appropriate nicknames for this offensive line. L.A. Lou says Stafford isn't used to playing in games that matter. The Rams went 12-5, and the games that we lost to the Cards and the Niners twice were because Raheem Morris's D was soft. Let him win a playoff game. Watch him settle down. Yeah, I mean, I think it's kind of I don't know if I would call him clutch or not clutch right now. I don't think we've seen a big enough sample size. Let's see how he does in the playoffs this year when he's got McVay and he's got your team. He better beat the Arizona Cardinals, though. Otherwise, that is going to stick with him. A guy that's never won a playoff game. He's at home. He's got arguably the better. No, he does have the better team. He should win this football game. If he doesn't, I think it's appropriate to call him a choker, to be honest with you, throughout his career. He's never won a playoff game.
Yeah. I'm not going to call him a choker. I just don't think he's clutch.
Yeah. I mean,
that's not saying he chokes, but he's not clutch.
Not clutch. Yeah. All right. He's not clutch. Pete the Skeet says, I'm torn between whether I want the Giants to go 2 offensive linemen or offensive linemen and one of those edges with the first 2 picks. I'd be happy with either. Same. I'd be happy with either. I would probably want them to take a lineman in the second round if they went that route, but I'd be happy with either. Love both you gents. Keep up the great work. We appreciate that, Pete the Skeet. What a name. I love that name. Pete the Skeet. Pete the Skeet, man. Thank you for popping in, Pete. Let's see what we got. C. Ginzo says Giants should just keep bringing stopgap quarterbacks till Arch Manning is eligible for the draft. Love the streaming, guys. Hopefully better times ahead, man. A lot of Giants fans have that 2026 year circle.
Yeah.
That'll be our next guy. And, maybe they do. Maybe they get that stopgap. Maybe they get that Kerry Collins that
I don't want to be drafted that high to get Arch Manning in 4 years, though.
That's true. Yeah.
I don't want that.
Good point. I
want to be drafted 32nd and have no shot at Arch Manning. Because hopefully we find a quarterback before that guy.
That'd be nice.
Yes.
Jeremiah, what's going on, man? You got a big game coming up. He says, what's up, fellas? Hoping New York drafts to sell jerseys. They would sell jerseys if they draft linemen with me. As you know, Baddog, every first-round offensive lineman, I buy their jerseys. So if they take 2 offensive linemen, they'll be getting 2 jerseys from me. But in terms of what jerseys would sell, I hope not, because that would mean a quarterback or that would mean like a wide receiver. Please don't. No, Jeremiah. Don't even put that thought in their head.
They can buy other jerseys. They don't need to buy the draft jerseys.
Yeah,
that's the jerseys. I don't really know anybody on this team where it's like, yeah, I got to have that guy's jersey. Not right now.
Yeah, not right now. Travis says, Baddog, you've been watching the Rangers.
I missed one. Yeah, I saw they beat the Sharks the other night. They got crushed by the Golden Knights, and I missed the one in between because they were playing late at night. So either I was streaming the Lakers game or I went to sleep one night. So I missed one of them. But they're first in the division, so that's always good. Although the Hurricanes have played 4 less games than us, but still, Rangers are a good team. Rangers have a bright future. Looking forward to the playoffs. Get to see one of my teams in the playoffs.
And Will says most likely Giants quarterback situation next year. It could be so many. I mean, it could be we draft. I think I will still slightly lean. I don't think it's a far favorite. I will still slightly lean Daniel Jones with a good backup. I think that's the most likely. And I'm going to go back to the reason I said earlier in the stream. I think it's if I always try to put on my GM hat on when I think about these things and think about what I would think if I was taking a job and had no attachments to the Giants in a quarterback draft class that most perceive not to be the greatest with a bad football team. I don't want to put my job on the clock year 1. The second I draft a quarterback, my job's on the clock. And if that quarterback does not become a franchise quarterback, I'm going to get fired. That's inevitable. That's going to happen when you take quarterback inside the top 5 more often than not, long-term as a GM. So that is why when push comes to shove in this draft, in the end, I don't think they'll take a quarterback. And I'm leaning that it'll be Jones and a very good backup.
Yeah, I mean, I've said I did a video earlier in the year, I'm not like maybe in November. I forget exactly when it was, but I'm not a big believer in Daniel Jones being the future of the franchise, but I don't think that there's Afghanistan, good job. I was going to get that. I don't think that there's a quarterback worth a top 10 pick. If we were picking like 17th, 18th, 20th, I've said before, I really don't want a quarterback, but if the Giants trade their second overall, the 7th overall pick and go backwards and get future draft capital, want to get a quarterback there, I could live with that. I don't want one in the top 10, but I have said I think that Daniel Jones fix this offensive line, really, really address that and see if he can play behind it. And if he can, then you can make a decision going forward. You got to see how his neck is and everything. But if everything checks out, I just think Daniel Jones does not make a ton of money for a quarterback. We don't have any cap space. I just feel like that is the most sensible position going into the year, is having him be the quarterback. And like Chris said, with a massive upgrade and a backup quarterback that can, if Daniel Jones is get hurt because he hasn't proven he can play all the entire season without missing games, we need somebody that can come in there and actually perform at an NFL level, not this joke that we had this year where the guys probably couldn't perform at a college level at this juncture in their careers.
And I think that regardless of what happens, whether they draft a quarterback or bring back Jones, I think they need a very strong backup. Even if you draft a quarterback, you want to have a guy that maybe could start for the first 6 to 8 games, so the guy could learn the ropes, especially with a situation like the Giants currently have with a bad offensive line and everything else. So I think regardless, we're going to have a big upgrade at the backup spot next year. That guy, Jose, says if DJ's neck is worse, then we got to draft. Not necessarily. You could still sign a guy, a stopgap guy for a year or two, a guy like Bridgewater, a guy like Mariota, Brissett. Like, there's guys you could sign to man the fort if you don't love a quarterback. Washington just did it this year, Baddog. They signed Ryan Fitzpatrick. He was the guy that they thought were going to – because they said to themselves, where we're picking, we don't love any quarterbacks. We'll sign Fitzpatrick. He'll man the fort for a year, and then we'll go and attack a quarterback in a future draft. So that doesn't mean anything. The New York Giants could do exactly what Washington did last year if they don't love a quarterback in this draft.
Yeah. Nick X says that's how you lost Slater move. I'm not saying the Giants should move back. I'm saying if they want a quarterback, if this regime wants a quarterback, I'm not going to be happy if they pick him 7th overall. But if they're able to get future draft capital and get a quarterback later in the first round, I could live with it. But 7th, no. 21st and a future first round pick, or you'd get more than that. If a team move up from 21 to 7, you're probably going to get 2 first round picks for that in a second. So I'd be okay. I could live with that. I'm not saying I want them to do that. I want them to. I'm record. I want them to take 2 offensive linemen.
Yeah,
I want 2 offensive linemen. Those first 2 picks. I never go that route. It's that bad where even I'm like, let's get 2 offensive linemen.
Yeah,
they're not hogs anymore. Don't know what the hell we're gonna call them. But
I'm gonna call them fatties for now. Call them fatties.
Fatties. I like that.
We're gonna get 2 fatties.
Let's just call them bigs. Let's just call them bigs.
Biggs works.
Bigs.
Works. Let's get Biggs. I like that.
Just gonna start dreaming of some bigs.
Darian says, Staff, 38-game winning drives in 12 years. Oh, Stafford, 38-game winning drives in 12 years. Oh, this was the guy that said it was a bad take by you. 38-game winning drives in 12 years. Brady, 53 in 20. Staff led a game-winning drive 2 weeks ago. Dak is worse. Jones is better than Dak is worse, but it's – maybe I'm misreading this. Dak less than Jones is worse, but it's top 5 worse.
So Brady has 53 game-winning drives in 20 years. Brady also has more Super Bowl championships than any franchise in the history of the NFL. Not player, franchise. Please.
Well, the other thing I'll
compare Stafford to. You want to talk about a bad take? That's a bad take.
Well, the other thing I'll say about the game-winning drive stat that he just showed us. Brady's played on some incredible teams where he was probably not put in the situation as often as Matt Stafford was, where he needed game-winning drives to win games, right? The Patriots blow out teams more often than not. Yeah. A lot of times he wouldn't need game-winning drives to win games. So when you're on a bad team like the Detroit Lions your entire career, you're put in those situations probably a lot more, I would guess at least, a lot more often than somebody like Tom Brady, whose team is always destroying football.
The man won 7 Super Bowls.
Yeah,
I would say he was pretty clutch in that Super Bowl against the Falcons.
Tom Brady's as clutch as they come. You can't take that away from him. The guy's clutch.
In the game he lost to Philadelphia, didn't he throw for over 500 yards in that game?
Yeah. The only games where he was mediocre was against us, and that was because of our pass rush.
Yeah.
And even in those games, he wasn't bad. He just was decent.
Right.
Lexo, man, thank you very much. Think you can give us your top 7 mock draft. I'm going to try my best. Also, thank you for your coverage on our team. Y'all make it better for us fans 100%. We appreciate that.
Yes. You fans make it better for us too.
Well, 100%.
Without a doubt.
All right, I'm looking at the draft order right now. Jacksonville, Detroit, Houston, Jets, Giants, Carolina, Giants. Okay. I'm going to throw in a trade because I do think in the end, and maybe we'll be completely wrong, but we're just having fun. We're doing a mock. I think Jacksonville is going to want Evan Neal. I think they're going to want a blindside protector for obviously Trevor Lawrence. But I think they feel like they could trade down. Maybe a team trades up to get the number 1 edge rusher in this class. So I'll orchestrate a trade between Jacksonville and Houston. Jacksonville falls to 3. Houston comes up, gets an elite. They get Kayvon Thibodeau. Detroit takes Aiden Hutchinson. I will have Jacksonville now trading down from 1 to 3, getting a future first-round pick. We'll now be taking Evan Neal. The Jets, I think, will go defense. Who's the cornerback? I always forget. The top, him. The Jets go there. I think they're going to double up on defense. They'll take the top corner there. Giants with the 5th pick in this scenario. Man, I'm gonna say right now, if I was doing a mock, I would say they go line. I think they go tackle here. And it would either be Cross or Iquanu, whoever they had higher on their board. This is just me doing a mock right now, but that's what I would say because it's such a big need on the right side. Carolina at 6. They could go quarterback. You think Carolina goes quarterback, Bad Dog?
No, I can't see them going.
You think they roll with Darnold?
They traded for him. I mean, They gave up picks. I would think they roll with Darnold one more year. I mean, for me, I think Carolina's in the same spot we are. I don't think they're a very good team. And why would you bring in a quarterback to that situation?
Yeah,
where they don't really have a good offensive line. I know McCaffrey getting hurt had a lot to do with them not being good, but McCaffrey himself is not going to make a rookie quarterback succeed in that situation. I just feel like Darnold, you trade a picks, you give him one more year. If it don't work, then you go 2023, you look for another quarterback. I can't see them going quarterback there, but you never know. I don't know enough about Carolina. I just don't think it would be smart. I think they also should be looking at offensive linemen.
I'm gonna respect everything Bad Dog just said, and I'm gonna go against it. I am gonna have them taking a quarterback. I'm gonna have them taking Kenny Pickett. I think Matt Rule will take his quarterback to try to give himself some more longevity as the head coach, being that it's year 3 for him. Maybe I'm wrong, but that's my guess today. And then with the Giants with that 7th pick, I don't want to do this, Bad Dog. I want to go 2 offensive linemen, but this is a mock of what I think will happen. 7th overall, Kyle Hamilton, New York Giants, best defensive player on the board. I don't want to take a safety that high. It's not what I want. You're asking me to say what I think would happen. I'm going with the best available tackle at 5, the best available defensive player at 7. I'm going to go with either Iquanu or Cross, whoever they feel is the best tackle on their board, and I will go with Hamilton with pick number 7.
Yeah. Well, I can go with number 5. I agree with you. Number 7. Nakobe Dean. I'm telling you.
Yeah. It's just my, again, I see what I want. It's not what I want.
I know. I want Linderbaum.
Yeah.
But I could see Nakobe Dean. Could see
Darian, he says, how can you fault him for not making the playoffs with the Lions? I don't think anybody faulted him for not making the playoffs with the Lions. Just that he hasn't won a playoff game. He made the playoffs a couple of times with the Lions, though. I think at least twice, maybe. T, thank you very much. O-line of Hulks. Andrew Thomas, Linderbaum, Kennard, and Iquanu. Sign me up. Let's go, T.
I'm in.
Burner says, Bad Dog, I missed the clown music. That time banded the Giants fans. What a time, Tana. What playoff games are you streaming? Keep up the great work. I don't know if I'm going to stream a game tomorrow. I may do the Knicks game because they're playing the Hawks, and it's going to be, what's his name? The guy we just got.
Cam Reddish.
Cam Reddish's first game. So I may do the next game. I haven't decided yet. I may just relax and watch the games. I don't know. Sunday, I can't do the games because I'm going to be going out to a bar. Monday, I'm absolutely doing the Rams game. So don't know if I'm going to do any games tomorrow. And if I do, it'll probably be the Knicks. But if not, I'll definitely do the Monday game for sure. But then the Knicks play on Monday too, man. It's just so tough with the schedule. But I'll try to do at least a game.
I do know the championship Sunday. Chris and I always do that together.
Sure,
one game's on my channel, one game's on his channel. So that is still going to be in effect this year. Hopefully we get a couple of good matchups, and hopefully the Cowboys and Eagles, neither one of them is in the NFC championship game. So we could get another Bucks Packers type of thing.
Yeah, for sure. And John says, what do you think about Cam Reddish to the Knicks? I'm a fan. It was a low risk, high reward move. The guy's 22 years old. He's a former top 10 pick. He's
played with RJ Barrett in college.
Yeah, played with RJ Barrett at Duke. Now we just got to get Zion. We'll have the Duke trio.
There you go. Yeah. Stay away from Zion.
Yeah, he's fat. He's overweight right now, and he's got injury problems. But yeah, I think the Reddish was a low risk, high reward move. So I'm all aboard. I like the pickup. You didn't give up much. You gave up a well protected first round pick, basically. So yeah, I think it's a good move, and he's a very good defender. Chad says, being realistic, how many years until we are? I have no idea. I'm not going to do that. You know, we made that mistake last time around, Bad Dog. I'm not setting a time frame. I'm not doing it. We said 3 years. We're going to take it year by year, and that's it. I'm not going to put a time frame. I'm not going to set expectations. This team has to prove it to me year by year, and we'll see if they could grow. I'm not putting a time frame on it.
Yeah, we have so many question marks right now. It's really difficult to know what this regime is going to do.
Yeah, I mean,
hopefully it's soon. I mean, that's all we can hope for. But I have I don't have any expectations. I really don't know what to expect this year. So
the good news I'll say about the NFL, Bad Dog, to try to get his hopes up a little bit, and I'm not saying it's going to happen. I'm not expecting anything. I'm going in with no expectations. I'm going to take it year by year. You can have quick turnover in the NFL very fast, regardless of how bad your situation is. You see it all the time.
Yep.
And we have a lot of draft capital to do it.
Yes.
Zig says, I can't be the only one afraid the new GM will trade away the first 2 picks for a quarterback. The wrong way to start for sure. You think it may have, you mean for, well, when you say that, I'm assuming you mean for like a Deshaun Watson. You don't mean in the draft. You're not trading up to get a quarterback with those 2 picks. So I'm assuming you mean like an established quarterback like Watson or like Wilson. No, I don't. I honestly don't. I don't see a new GM coming in and doing something like that. No, I don't. I'd be surprised.
Yeah, because we're not ready to win, no matter who the quarterback is. So no.
The only way I could see it, could have saw that being a possibility, was if Judge actually stayed and Judge had like say in terms of the moves. That's something that I was worried about, because now you got a coach trying to save his job year 3. But with him out of here, a fresh start, no, I don't see it happening. Nick, man, thank you very much, man. What about dozers for offensive linemen instead of like bulldozers? That's pretty good. We can work with that.
Not bad.
We got to come up with like 5 really good names and put it up for a vote. And maybe
we gotta get those guys to be worth a name, though.
Yeah, you know what? Exactly. For now, no nicknames until they earn it. No nicknames until they earn it. Bruno, man, thank you so much, man, for the $5 donation. I'm sure I'm still going to call him Hogs now and again just because I love saying it. Segenzo says, besides fixing the offensive line, bringing quality backup quarterback too.
Definitely.
Bad Dog, check out the story of Anthony Greco, called up for the Rangers. Great local kid.
I will. We'll check that out.
And we talk about the backup quarterback too all the time, Segenzo. Darian says, not trying to debate Brady less clutch than Staff, just saying Staff is clutch. Bad Dog, don't get defensive, bro. I'm just debating. I love you guys. We love you too, Darian.
Yeah, I don't know how I'm getting defensive. You said me saying Stafford wasn't clutch is the worst take ever, and then you compared him to Brady, and I just said that that's a bad take because Brady's won 7 Super Bowls. Listen, Stafford's never won a big game to me. I'm not saying Stafford's not good. I think Stafford's one of the most underrated quarterbacks there is, but he hasn't won anything. He has to prove he can win. I guess my point is this. He's never won anything, so it's hard for me to think that Stafford can go into Lambeau and beat Aaron Rodgers or go into Tampa and beat Tom Brady. I guess that's what I'm saying. For me, he has to prove that he can do that before I believe he could beat one of those elite guys who's been there, won Super Bowl, won many Super Bowls. The Rams are a very good team. There's no doubt about that. And I love the Rams. And we have a lot of Rams fans in here. Benjamin Wynn is a Rams fan, L.A. Lou. I want them to do well. They played in a Super Bowl a few years ago with Jared Goff. There's no reason to think that Stafford, like I said, I have a hard time picking Stafford against Rodgers and Brady. Yeah. That's difficult, especially in Lambeau.
You know what, Ben? I was thinking about this today, actually. Some people may argue Aaron Rodgers in terms of the quarterback that has the most pressure in this year's playoffs. I think it's actually Stafford. I think because Rodgers is already a Hall of Famer. Rodgers is already a top 5 quarterback of all time.
Stafford's a Hall of Famer, in my opinion, but he hasn't.
I think Stafford could go either way right now with the Hall of Fame, and I think he has the most to gain from this playoffs, because if he wins a Super Bowl, he's in, and I think he has the most to gain in this playoffs. Listen, I think he's got a lot of pressure.
I've liked Stafford since he played at Georgia, so yeah. I'm a Stafford fan, but I just go like I see it. I just winning games in November is not the same as winning games in January. And yeah, he played on a bad team. His teams were awful at the beginning of his career, but it's the Lions, so it's tough. But that's my point. He hasn't won big games, whether that's because he's on a bad team or not. Again, it's hard to pick him against a guy like Brady, who's played in 10 Super Bowls. Yeah. It's just hard to pick him against that guy.
And Gabe, thank you very much, man. What's up, Gabe? He says, hey, Chris, what's good? Remember, Peters McDaniel is the move. Let's start pushing that agenda. Yeah, that's what I've been saying during the stream, Gabe. That's That's probably my favorite. Bad Dog said the Bills guy. I think I want the 49ers guy, McDaniel, but I'd be happy either way. I think both of them are really good candidates, but that's where my head's at right now as well.
Whoever gives us the best chance to win, please.
That's all we care about.
Yeah.
And Bruno says, would you trade the 5th overall pick for the 15th and the 16th overall picks from the Eagles? No, I don't think I would. I don't think I'd want to trade down with the Eagles and give them the 5th overall pick. Because that's not going to happen. It's not, because the only way the Eagles would do that is for a quarterback, and I don't think there's a quarterback worthy trading up for in this draft.
They could get a quarterback there.
They could sit there and take a quarterback. But no, I mean, I guess maybe, but it's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. The Eagles aren't going to do that. Duncan, man, thank you very much. But I guess, yeah, I would. If I had the 15th and 16th pick with the 7th pick, yeah, I would. But it's fantasy land. Duncan says, name a player some team will mortgage their future for in this draft. No one is trading with us to jump a team. Tired of that shit take. 2 offensive linemen. Keep it simple, stupid. Duncan, I'm with you. I mean, stupid. Of course, if there's a trade, you listen. But like you said, more than likely, I mean, there might be, but more, I'm not going to go in expecting one. Let's put it that way.
Especially I'd be surprised. I mean, you never know. But the one thing I'll say, Duncan, is this, and I'm an advocate of, I think that the combine plays a little bit too big of a part in how these guys are drafted, personally. But say Kenny Pickett comes in and he blows up the he has one of the best combines you've ever seen, and he impresses these scouts at the combine. Never say never. I agree with you. I don't think anybody's trading up into the top 10 for a quarterback in this class, but never say never.
And I just saw, I've been behind on the chat. I just saw that person with that name. I'm not even going to say it, but could somebody please ban him? I'm assuming somebody did. I don't have the chat in front of me, the YouTube chat, but sorry if that offended anybody. Unfortunately, you get people that don't have lives, so I'm not going to react because that's what they want, so I don't react to it.
Yeah, Joey, I just hide that crap. I don't even.
Yeah, I don't react to it. That's what they want. They want you to react. Learn as you're on YouTube more and more. Don't react. Joey, man, thank you very much, man. Could you see us taking a corner in the draft, maybe, or a safety? Yes, 100 in the draft as a whole, absolutely. I wouldn't be shocked if we took one early, like I just said. So yes, it's corner's a need for us, especially if we cut Bradbury, which is a possibility. Even if we don't, you can't. Long term, we need a corner. So yeah, I definitely think we could take a corner or safety, especially at some point in the draft. And I think this might be the last one. Fred says, time to accept Jones is what he is. I don't care when we take the next quarterback. Sick of the Jones fans. It's year 3. We're going to be year 4. Enough with the excuses. Life isn't fair. Yeah, no, I agree. As of now, I agree with you. Maybe he changes my opinion next year if he is the starting quarterback. I'm always open for changing my opinion and hope that he does. But right now, I think we're both in agreement with you. I don't think either one of us think Daniel Jones right now is going to be the long-term answer at the position.
Yeah. I don't either. I think that Daniel Jones needs to be the quarterback in 2022, but after that, no. I don't think so.
Yeah. But sorry about the trolls tonight. I don't know. Lefty, man, thank you very much. Sup, Dana and Mad Dog. I'm in the big seat. I'm going back-to-back O-line. Get the many years of trauma completely out of the way. Linderbaum is a go. Lefty.
Agree.
I know a lot of fans may not want to hear that. The positional value fans, I understand it. Get it done with. I'm with you. Again, it's not going to be make or break for me if they don't do that. You definitely got to take one with those 2 picks. If they take 2, smile ear to ear. I'll be thrilled. And it's going to be
positional value is we need these positions. We need value there.
And and once we get that line situated, it's going to make everybody else better on the offense. So that's the way I look at it. But everybody's got their opinions. That's what makes draft time fun.
Absolutely.
How they want to go.
We'll be there to cover the draft. We always do.
We'll be there to cover the draft.
Love it. It's NFL Christmas. Get all your new toys. All your new toys.
Sorry we got these racist trolls. I don't know what's going on, guys. But we are going to wrap it up. I just want to say thank you to everybody for all the support you guys always show. Can't say thank you enough. Had a great time tonight. I mean, I think we may have hit 1,000 at one point in the stream. So you guys are incredible, blowing up the stream. Next week it'll be just as much to talk about, and probably even the following week as they're filling out the coaching staff and everything else. We're gonna have a lot to talk about. It's gonna be a very busy offseason. We're just getting started. We don't even know who the GM and the head coach are gonna be yet. We just know there's gonna be massive changes. And it's going to be a fun offseason covering the New York Giants. I just hope that they get, situated and get set in the right direction. But thank you guys for all the support you always show. And Bad Dog, man, close us out. Thank you for coming on.
Yeah, no problem, man. And listen, this I get it, it's good and it's bittersweet. And like I said, when your off season is more exciting than your regular season, you had a bad regular season. But at the same time, man, hopefully John Mara and company get this right this time, and we can finally get out of these doldrums that we've been in for the last 10 years. This year, one of the, like I said, probably the hardest season that I've had to deal with. But you guys and girls made it bearable, man. You guys and girls are the best. We are a terrible team. We were an embarrassing organization. We are right now. We're still embarrassing until they prove otherwise. And your support's unbelievable. I mean, I've said this before, lesser fan base gives up. You guys don't. You guys continue to support, watch the live streams, watch the videos, always give good insight on your opinions on why you think the way you do. And we really appreciate it, because without you guys and girls, we don't do what we do. And without you guys and girls, we don't get through the season the way we get through it. So thank you for giving me an outlet to rage out on, and and a shoulder to cry on, and people to rein me back to earth. Chris, thank you for being able to pull me back out of the stratosphere. Bring me back down to earth. Gotta laugh to keep them crying. That's why the last 4 weeks I was starting to lose like Joe Judge, paper bags in the head, clown music, and all this other stuff. But let's hope 2022 is better. Let's get some good candidates in here. Let's get a good GM, a good head coach. Let's have a great draft, and let's get ready for 2022. It's going to be an interesting offseason. Thank you guys and girls for everything you do for us. We really do appreciate it.
I can't wait. Just got to get 2 comments here. Amazing guy. I will probably do that next stream. I know Bad Dog does that. I've never done that. I just don't even think about it before I go live, but I'll probably start doing that. That way stuff like this doesn't happen. They can still subscribe, but then I guess I get a subscriber out of it at least, and we'll just block them then. But I'll do subscribers only going forward. That way I guess only subscribers comment in the chat, especially if it's going to be a bigger chat. So I will do something like that.
Yeah, I always do subscribers for at least 5 minutes and slow-mo mode. Always.
Yeah, so I'll do that. I'll do that going forward. I'm sorry for anybody that may have gotten offended. It's just trolls, people that don't have a life. Again, you learn not to let it bother you. It is the more you're on YouTube, you don't react to it. Charles, man, thank you very much, man. Tommy's touchdowns is going to make the young fans in Philly cry. Oh, I agree. I think I think he's going to kill him, and I'm looking forward to watching that game. But I think he's going to take out the trash. And C. Ginzo, man, thank you very much, man. I appreciate it, man. He says, stand up, new member, man. What's going on, man? Thanks so much for popping in the stream. And I appreciate it. Well, I don't know why you were laughing, Bad Dog. Something happened in the chat.
You said take out the trash.
Oh, yeah. Take out
Talking
the
about
trash.
Philly, so yeah.
Oh, yeah. Take out the trash. Take out the trash. But Bad Dogs, it's probably a bot, Billy. You're probably absolutely right. But, I mean, most of you guys that chat in my chat are subscribed anyway. So, I'll put on the subscribers only. And if you want to chat, you got to be subscribed. I don't try to do that, but if we're going to get stupid stuff like this, you got to.
It gets rid of that garbage. It also gets rid of the bots and the spam crap.
If they're bots, they're not going to be stupid.
Exactly. You got rid of everything. And that's why I started doing that. So it works.
Yeah. But close it out, my man.
All right, guys. Enjoy football playoff weekend. We got 6 games between Saturday and Monday. I have Monday off, which is nice. So enjoy the rest of your weekend. Enjoy the football. And if you're in upstate New York, we're going to have to stay warm tomorrow. It's supposed to be like minus 17 wind chill. Then we get 8 to 12 inches of snow, sleet, and rain on Sunday and Monday. Typical freaking stupid Northeast winter, but it's a good day to sit inside and watch football. The Entertainment Talking Sports, Bad Diggity Dizzle. Enjoy your weekend, everybody. We gone. Peace.
Be good, everybody.